Greetings and welcome to Solving the World's Problems. Our problem tonight is that of the sci-fi villain. Whether he's looking for revenge, galactic domination, or running a shadow government from behind the scenes, these are the guys that we're going to be talking about tonight. And we have quite the panel with us this evening. As always, I have my partner, Stephen Ransom, with me. How you doing, Stephen?
Very good, very good. We got a handsome panel tonight.
We have quite the powerhouse, quite the powerhouse. We have with us Nerdporial Lifeform. How are you doing tonight, sir? You've given me a name I can't pronounce once again as your thing, and that's fine. I think you're doing it simply to spite me.
No, I do it all the time. I always identify as something differently. Jeez, give me a break.
And every time
that's very,
I assume it's
very
phobic.
istophobic.
Your EST score just by being on the show there, Roman.
Hey, yeah. I'm the woke. I'm woke now, apparently, according to
When did this happen? That's so strange.
I made a Forbidden Planet video. I made a comment about how not diverse it was, and it pissed a lot of people off. So it was a movie I made. It was a review I made a year and a half ago. So, but Admiral is basically a play on how Ricardo Montalban pronounces Admiral.
Very nice.
He may or may not be my villain. He may or may not be my villain of choice.
He may or may not be one of mine too. So it's like,
I think he's everyone's villain of choice. So, and also with us tonight is Matt, the Unbearable 73. Matt, how are you doing?
good evening, gentlemen and whatever you identify tonight, Admiral.
Admiral. Good to have you back with us. And one of the great minds of the interwebs, our good friend Daniel. Daniel, how are you this evening?
I am doing well. Handsome Ransom. That rhymes. Stephen, did you know that?
And that's it for Daniel, everyone.
I am the villain of the night. Thank you.
Yeah. Don and I have talked about this for sure. Yeah.
I don't even know where to go from there. And we have with us
hashtag smash Stephen Ransom is what you're saying, basically. I got
oh God. Right off the cliff almost immediately, folks. That's what you get with live streams. And first time with us this evening is Pops. Pops, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so blessed to be here, guys. Glad we were able to plan this out enough to get it on my schedule. Because if you guys don't know, I throw all sorts of things against the wall. So, but now it's great. This is like creator rock star stuff, man. I love hanging out with the guys who are doing. We're all in the train trench, having fun, doing the same kind of stuff, and it's like everybody got together to be at Roman's comic shop tonight, and we're all going to talk nerd stuff. So this is the best.
That's exactly what it feels like to me too.
And somehow he made it through the door. Flaccid Phoenix, Dawn of the Phoenix. It's nice to see you this night. Thank you for coming back to the show.
Yeah, I won't be able to be on long. I'm pretty busy with school stuff, but if anyone hasn't right now, please smash that like button. Like like me and Stephen Ransom always smashing stuff whenever we get the shot to. And my villain of the show is going to be the ball fan of Romans that never is working hard enough to keep my boy calm. So I'm glad to be here with everybody.
What are you studying, by the way?
What?
I asked Flaccid, what are you studying?
What am I studying right now?
Yeah.
I'm doing industrial and systems engineering. So right now it's like a lot of modeling and projection forecasting and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know that.
And immediately I feel dumber. So,
so if you know how crazy you make your money.
Our topic of the night is science fiction villains. And sci-fi has given us some of literally the great villains in all the genres because of the impact that they've made upon us. And I think we're going to have some of the heavy hitters tonight, and then I think we'll probably end up with some weird, unique ones as well, because this panel usually is very good at doing both the weird and the unique. So actually, I'm going to start with Flaccid tonight because he is the man with the time limit. And sometimes, as nerds do, we tend to run long with a topic because we can't control ourselves. So, Flaccid, who is the villain you were highlighting this evening?
I think I kind of went based off the thumbnail here, and I'm a huge fan of Grand Moff Tarkin because not only is his performance perfect, I think he elevates everything around him in the scene. Right? If you get kind of a lamer actor in there, it doesn't nearly hit as hard. And also, is so good about him and like so many other great castings is that his face, he's casted based off his gaunt look too. And when you can get a good Imperial officer like some of we see in Andor, mine and Roman's favorite show right now, you got to cast them for the role. And that's another casting I love with House of the Dragon when they have with Aemond. He has this very villainous role. It's like shape language. So if you ever gone to whatever art school or something like that, triangles, right? So the Joker has like a triangle-like face. It's very cunning. It's very like edgy, right? And so he has that kind of facial features to him. And on top of it, he's a great actor. Love Grand Moff Tarkin. And we only get one movie with him. Well, two with Rogue One, but you only get one movie with him, and he knocks it out of the park. So. What a great Pierce Cushing.
I love
also
Grand Moff
Smash would smash. Out of respect.
The Widow Peak alone. I'm sorry, it just that is some epic Widow's Peak right there. So
yes,
he's in no man's land with that hairline. He doesn't know what
hardcore
to do with
WP.
Do you guys know why he is gaunt like this, especially at this point? Like because he wasn't always this gaunt. Like if you watch
all the Hammer
Horror of
films.
Dracula, he was I mean he was fit, but he wasn't like gaunt like he is. His wife died, and that really fucked him up. And he stopped eating.
Now I'm sad.
He smoked a lot more, and he
for
stopped
making
eating.
me sad.
So yeah.
Hashtag sad Tarkin. Hashtag sad Tarkin. Gotcha.
Plus, he was probably already suffering from early prostate cancer by the time he filmed Star Wars. So.
Oof.
Sad Moff Tarkin.
Sympathy for the devil.
He passed in the 90s, so he lived quite a while if he had cancer. So
he got diagnosed with it in like the early 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Steven, I want I want an art request. I want a silhouette of Tarkin, just kind of like the outline of the face, but highlight that Widow's Peak and just put like hashtag Widow Peak in the middle. Like I want just like this line of Widow Peak shirts where it's just like these great actors that have the Widow Peak, but just like it's a silhouette kind of their face. So you kind of get an idea who it is, but then it just says hashtag Widow Peak. It's gonna be I want a line of shirts. That's what I want. So you got to help me on this, man. We got to co-op it in partnership and get the Widow Peak line of wardrobe out there for folks. Bring it back.
Yeah. There's genocide out there.
Noted.
The Widow Peak.
One of the sad things about Tarkin is he was really our emperor before we had the emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Vader was the henchman, and so he was the real face of the empire. And Vader, obviously, and the emperor have taken over what that really means in the long run.
I didn't really see it that way. And like Vader was the enforcer, but he didn't really report to Tarkin. He kind of talked to him as if they were equals. Like he would say what he would say what he meant to say.
Tarkin told Vader what to do. He's the one who told Vader to stop choking one of the admirals.
That's because Vader respected him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Yeah. It wasn't so much
and it was Tarkin's house.
Yeah, it was exactly, Roman. It was Tarkin's house. So Vader wasn't his subordinate necessarily, but Vader understood the order of things, and the Death Star was Tarkin's project.
No, I mean, if you read the early EU, like Vader and Tarkin were the closest thing to friends people like that could actually have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but in the movie, it comes across as respectable.
Vader, release him.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they do seem like parallel lines of command.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's intimidating. He's really intimidating, and he is a great face of what the Empire is.
I mean, just that shot of him saying, "I grow tired of asking this, so this will be the last time. Where is the rebel base?" Okay, that was terrible, but
that was not good.
That was
I cannot endorse that.
Bad. Yeah.
I think it's it's like he's totally like the Star Wars mafia boss, right? He's like the mafia boss that may have a boss above him, but right now you're just like, you don't want to really go wrong with this guy. It's not gonna end well for you when you wrong this guy. That's for sure.
And I think the term that was just tossed out there of parallel commands is a very valid circumstance, because if the Empire is supposed to parallel a certain organization from Central Europe during World War II, then Vader is the SS and Tarkin is regular military.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Well, in the full old EU, Vader was Palpatine's left hand, the brutal enforcer. Tarkin was the administrative enforcer / regular military, and his secret hand was Prince Zizor, who ran the criminal empire, Black Sun.
Oh, Shadow of the Empire.
Shadow of the Empire. Yeah.
So those were the three primary people he manipulated the Empire through and played them off against one another. And the reason Tarkin, or one of the reasons Tarkin and Vader got along so well, is they knew they were being manipulated and that Palpatine could fry them, basically. So they kind of worked together to an extent, and that's how they developed their working sociopath friendship.
If I remember correctly, this was before like they developed the Emperor into what he would, become, Vader's master. Like if I remember correctly, when this movie came out, what Lucas had in mind for the Emperor was basically just a puppet that was controlled by Tarkin and Vader.
A puppet like
the original outline when he went into Star Wars, and then when he fleshed it out, when he realized he was going to be able to make the second two movies, so to speak, and made the famous what was it called, the 27-page outline that people claim to have stolen 15,000 times over the years. Some dude had a whole YouTube channel based on this stolen 27-page outline. It's like, but that's when he started fleshing it out, and then when he realized Anakin had to be, he made Anakin younger for the prequel trilogy. Because original Anakin was like older and all that,
Yeah, freaking Sebastian Shaw playing Anakin in Return of the Jedi. So you'd think he'd be at least in his 60s, about the same age as Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he did not look good. He did not look good. He looked like an egg that was just sad and had been left sitting for too long. I don't think Tarkin gets enough credit. Because Vader is the big face of the Empire that everybody thinks of, but Tarkin is actually a world killer.
Agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. Tarkin,
he's done all the horrible things.
Yeah, he blew up all.
Vader's killed people on a more personal level, and it's not a small number, but it's not the number that Tarkin has. He's got definitely.
We look at that movie, and Tarkin, it has the quiet command. He's the quiet, sinister command of the Empire. And Vader is more of just the muscle. And Tarkin is far more sinister and deadly and scary if you look at it that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's like...
No, I don't think we're going to be talking about vampires tonight. I'm sorry. I know, yes, in... what was the one with the big
last
eyeball
month?
Well,
movie?
Technically, there are science fiction settings with vampires in them. But none of them were high enough on my list to. Well, there's one that could be there, sort of, but I don't know if anyone's ever read that. So, if we get to like the 6th or 7th, I'd give you a sci-fi vampire. 2 of them actually.
Well, it's also cool how like calculated and calm he seems the whole time, and they do that good job of bringing that into Rogue One whenever he's there too. That he's already a step ahead. He's undercutting whatever's going on in the situation. He knows how to play it into his favor. Even his final shot, right? He seems pretty calm. He's like, okay, I wasn't blow up. He's dead. But he doesn't seem ever flustered at any point in this.
Can you imagine if George Lucas just out of left field decided to turn Tarkin, let's say in the middle of the movie, into a complete buffoon, like the way Rian Johnson did with
were they dragging him around on the deck or something? Good God!
Wish he would never do it.
Well, even Hux in Force Awakens, he's so like emotional, right? And Tarkin's never like that. And you see, and by the episode 9 of Star Wars, they have to bring Richard E. Grant in to be the intimidating Imperial officer or First Order.
I liked,
officer.
He was probably the one thing I liked about episode 9 was Richard.
Yeah, Grant. I agree. Yeah, he's a good Imperial officer. He is that archetypal look and delivery on things, and classically trained. The guy they have in Andor right now, his name's escaping me, but he played Qyburn in Game of Thrones. He's amazing, and his vocabulary too he uses in this. Like he's such an intellectual as he's talking about. Systematically taking out things. Yes, he's. Does that
actor play like a Grand Moff or something?
What is he? Roman, do you remember what he plays?
Which
the Imperial officer,
the one that played Qyburn in Game of Thrones.
He's the older guy that is around the round.
Is he the major, the one who's in charge of the ISB?
Yeah, that whatever segment of the ISB they're in.
I love that Flaccid always proves my point about how such great writing it is, and none of us know the names of half these characters. Just so you guys.
Okay, there's a lot of characters.
Because I disagree. I don't care. If you don't have subtitles on, you can't keep track of who anybody is without subtitles. It's so badly written.
Yeah, the issue I have with
name Bob and Jim and Terry.
The issue I have with current writing is that they just don't say names enough. I know it might be annoying
Yeah.
for some. Like if you see Poltergeist, you
Oh
keep
my
hearing
God.
Carol Ann, Carol Ann, Carol Ann. But I mean, seriously, you need to say the names a lot more.
Or people
No,
should
but
wear
you're
name
right, 'cause you do
tags.
lose track of who's who and this is.
Name
So it's
tags.
major part of us is the guy we're talking about.
I have a
The
horrible image in
ISB.
my head. Is if it's Disney Star Wars did the original Star Wars. So there's Tarkin about to
Oh,
blow up
dear
Alderaan,
God.
and he's not doing it fast enough. Some female moth walks up, shoves him out of the way, and pushes the button. I just think
Oh,
of Disney
hell yeah.
Star Wars.
Oh no! If it was Disney Star Wars, he wouldn't be in that last shot. He'd be on a shuttle, and he snuck out at the last minute so he could
Yeah.
show up in the Return of the Jedi in some sort of like sneak gotcha moment or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's
You know, it's funny. I think had Tarkin not been overconfident during the Battle of Yavin and everything, he probably would have survived because based on I mean, I first season of Rebels I liked first season of Rebels that featured Tarkin,
Yes.
and he would have simply evacuated because they offer like there's a scene where they offer that he's the one of the admirals I think goes up to him, he's like, there is a danger, sir, and we might need to evacuate. He's like, evacuate,
Yeah.
What?
and I'm
Triumph.
I think you overestimate their chances.
Yeah, and the guy was just like, "Look, Grand Moff, I'm just following procedure. Don't jump up my friggin' ass, man. Just try and chill out a little bit." And,
That's always the thing with these type of movies or these type of roles. Like you're a messenger and you have to go to the big man, and you're like, especially if you had to deliver a message to Vader.
Oh yeah,
Would
Empire
he-
Strikes
would-
Back
would
is
he
chock
kill
full
you?
of that stuff.
Would you kill the messenger?
that's why
I
the
mean,
Spaceball gags work so well, right? Because the Spaceball gags is based on that. Like no, sir, and they cover their groin every time.
Oh, they didn't
Apology
obviously didn't have-
accepted, Captain.
Vader never
Vega.
killed the ones who said I failed, the ones who accepted the responsibility. He killed the ones who basically were afraid of him and walked up and said someone else did it, failed, like their minions failed or whatever. If you ever watch who Vader actually kills in that movie,
Admiral Ozzel, because you got out of light speed too close to the system. He is clumsy as he is stupid.
Yep.
And
You
hot.
had failed me for the
Last
last time.
Imagine Vader would have
iconic line.
he has like a fail notebook he opens up every time. You have failed me 17 times. One more time.
Right, fail counter in the back of inside of Vader's helmet is a fail counter.
He goes, turns 6 pages, he goes, this is Janitor Zorkdon. He's only failed once. You should be more like Janitor Zorkdon.
Bring my fail counter to my private chambers, please. We must do an assessment.
Lord. All right, I think
Is that
we
George
have-
Takei, Stephen?
Oh,
Are you
me?
doing George? Oh, bring that to my chamber, little
Oh,
imperial
my.
boy. Bring the
Oh,
oil
no.
too.
All right, I think
Tatooine. I was
we
born
can move
there.
on safely from Grand Moff Tarkin, and that was an excellent choice, Flaccid. That he was also on my list of the great sci-fi villains. Because let's face it, he is awesome. He's a planet killer. He works directly for the most powerful man in the galaxy. What more do you want? And he has that delightful hairline.
Yeah, and well, what Star Wars does so well is it brings in like 3 major aspects within cinema with like a sci-fi twist on it. Like the medieval fantasy
Yes.
of Jedi. It also brings in the Western the Western with like
Han Solo.
Han Solo, bounty hunter, stuff like that. But then it also has like the World War II aspect within the Empire and the Rebels, and he would be a perfect Nazi general, or if
Yes.
a bad guy in some other like if they're going to recreate it, right? Because clearly he's British, but yeah, he'd be a perfect Nazi general too.
There's a sequence in a movie called The Guns of Navarone
Oh, yeah.
where
Great
they're
movie.
brought into that room, and the commander there is kind of like a Grand Moff Tarkin kind of character, where he's just like, look, guys, I need you to start telling me the truth, because the guy that's coming in, he's not going to be nice. And the guy who comes in is like this, blonde on blonde with blue eyes kind of, SS officer. And he's like right out of a horror movie,
Oh, I
And-
think you're thinking of Where Eagles Dare.
no, it's definitely from Guns of Navarone, but it's a trope that's
Okay.
played over and
Yeah,
over
yeah,
again
yeah.
in World War II movies.
Yeah.
Where there's
Eagles
a
Dare is an awesome
semi
movie.
okay guy, and then there's the bad guy that you just don't want to mess with.
I am bad, but not nearly as bad as my friend.
That's
I miss
exactly-
that. I miss that in movies. Movies now are just so
Yeah,
not
they
tense.
wussed.
Yeah.
All right, so Nerdporial, what is your choice of great sci-fi villain?
I don't know you, but you, I never forget the face, Mr. Roman of the Empire, isn't it? I never expected to see your face again.
Botany Bay.
Botany Bay.
Bay.
Oh no!
Oh,
We got to get out of here, damn! Come on, Chekhov, what's going on?
It's like, Chekhov, dude, where you going? Dude, we're on a mission. Dude, what's up?
Yeah, obviously I'm talking about Khan. Because I do far worse than kill you.
Buried alive.
I've hurt you,
Oh.
and I wish to go on.
Yeah, Khan has, I think, arguably some of the best bad guy dialogue ever. Because he's entirely quotable for a very long time.
His delivery is like next level. Like it's so easy to remember. It's so easy to remember like the rhythm of how he talks and everything. Like if I ever portrayed a villain, I would probably follow how Ricardo Montalban delivered his lines as Khan.
And
Not only
even
that,
in Stacy, the original episode, he was brilliant.
Yeah, he's such a great actor. People forget that. Ricardo Montalban, he did stage, he did movie. I mean, it's like he's almost after disappeared. I got known for Fantasy Island and Khan, but go watch all his movies and stuff. I think he even did Spanish language movies, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, he did. He
did one of the Planet of the Apes films. Did you get to it yet?
He was in Planet of the Apes. He was in two of those movies. He was in Escape and he was in Conquest.
Yeah, and such a brilliant actor, and he knew with this role. I remember reading because I was a kid reading all the Starlog magazine. For those who almost remember Starlog, like he was saying with this role of Khan when they were doing the movie with it, I knew that I had to be very careful and not make it look out like I'm camping it up, because that would have ruined it. You know what I mean? Like this was Star Trek was a serious show with comedic moments, not a parody comedy type of thing.
And the first thing you see of Khan in the original episode, like he is like, they find him on the Botany Bay, which is the sleeper ship, the DY-100 class vessel from the future year of 1996. So so his heart starts to flutter and they have to rescue him. So Kirk rescues Khan, gets him out of the chamber, and McCoy does his magic and tries to treat him to the best of their ability until Khan awakens. And the first thing Khan does is he holds McCoy in a choking position while holding a knife at his throat. And McCoy in this scene was awesome. Like he was just like, well, either choke me or cut my throat, make up your mind. And he's like, English. I thought I dreamed hearing it. Where am I? And then because McCoy doesn't stand down, Khan ultimately respects McCoy as a result. So as much as people like to say things about, or especially the way that J.J. Abrams the way they view McCoy was anything but a coward. McCoy was probably one of the most courageous characters in Star Trek overall, and just the fact that he, even though he wasn't a fighter, he was brave enough to face some of the the greatest threats ever. I mean, Khan is, in my opinion, is probably one of the greatest villains next to Gul Dukat, and if you consider Q a villain, like those are like the top three villains for
the only villain
antagonists in
greater
Trek.
than Khan is Cisco. That's the only one.
Wow. And
Like,
another thing
Cisco
about
was willing
Khan,
to smoke out an entire planet of Maquis. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that one and is the one where they killed the Romulan ambassador.
Was that the Devil in the Pale Moonlight? What was that one called?
That was just the pale. I think it was just called
Pale
the
Moonlight.
Pale Moonlight. Yeah.
Like literally in all Star Trek, and there are a lot of great moments. The only villain moment I could think of greater than what Khan did was that thing with the Romulan ambassador in terms of how they portrayed it. You know what I mean?
A fake.
Yeah,
because they're trying to they literally like fabricate like a Dominion device that would try to get them. They're trying to get the Romulans into the war because they're getting their asses kicked.
Cisco even monologues with like a cup of scotch or something. So it's like
he looks at the camera and he's like, you know what? I think I can live with this.
Yeah.
It's just like, damn.
like
right there. But like Khan here, just like one thing about Wrath of Khan, especially the early Trek films, there were elements of horror in it, even in the motion picture. Very, motion picture was scary at points when remember when they tried to beam up the scientist Sonak, the Vulcan,
the guy who was going to be the first officer in a TV show that they canceled. Talon or whatever. What the hell was his name?
It was Sonak. His name was Sonak, and they tried to beam him up, and because of the fact that they were rushing to get out, a lot of the equipment was not working properly, and that included a transporter. And you hear this. So they're beaming them up, and you hear this weird scream. Like I first saw this, I think I was a kid. I heard the scream, and it scared it completely. It scared the crap out of me.
It was terrifying.
And I'll say this: there was something. The sound in this movie, Wrath of Khan, was very similar. So not only do we see body horror, where they put the eels in their heads they put creatures in our bodies to control our minds, but when they shoot people with the phasers in this movie, and only this movie, you hear a scream as they're vaporizing.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Fucked up that is. Yeah. That is up.
And as far as villains in cinema history go, Khan is one of the villains that really solidified the trope of quoting from Shakespeare.
Yes.
Moby Dick. Quoting from Moby Dick.
And they tried to it was Moby Dick, but they tried to have that same thing repeated in Star Trek 6 with Christopher Plummer.
Yes.
Where he kept quoting Shakespeare. It didn't pan out near.
I disagree. That was great.
I love that line. Great. Shakespeare, the original Klingon. I love that when he said that.
Prick us, do we not? Tickle us, do we not laugh?
Where's Chris?
Do we not believe? Wrong us. Shall we not revenge?
Now, I want to point one other thing about Khan. He had a semi-legitimate point in the movie, meaning Kirk could have legitimately.
Kirk screwed him over, man.
No. Kirk didn't screw him over because Kirk could have executed all of them. That's inexplicably ruled. So instead, Kirk gave them a whole world and said, "Look, bygones be bygones. You guys want to prove your way is better. Here's a whole beautiful planet."
So
they never followed up, though.
That's the
just
point.
Left them there. He didn't have that kind of authority as a starship captain.
Yes, he did.
Yes. So Kirk. They have at the end of Space Seed, they have the court martial. Khan tried to take over the ship. Kirk manages to pull a pipe out of the wall and beat the shit out of Khan. That's the only way he could beat him. So luckily, the Deus Ex, pipe out of the wall. Like that. And well, after that, they like McCoy's like, wait a minute, you don't have authority. Then he completely dismisses McCoy and goes to Spock. And they're like, we're arriving at this planet. And then he gives Khan a choice. He's like, you can either stay here and be tried, or you can try to survive on this planet. It's up to you. And what Khan asks him is, have you ever read Milton, Captain? And back when writing was good, Kirk just looks and says, I understand. And then, then they leave. And then Scotty's like, what was he talking about? It's a shame for a good Scotsman to admit, but I'm not up on Milton. And then, of course, Kirk, answers, Paradise Lost, when Lucifer falls into, hell.
Right.
He'd rather, serve in hell he'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Yeah.
So Khan was given a choice. So Khan went down there. But here, he went down there with Marla McGivers, the redhead in Space Seed, who was not in this episode or was not in this movie, and I think it was because the actress Madeline Rue got sick. She ended up getting a debilitating disease, so they kind of wrote her off and killed her off. They did when they say that there is wife,
it worked well with him.
So when they say he blames you for the death of his wife,
I know what he blames me
about
for.
her. Yeah, he's like, I know what he blames me for. And it's just so Khan, based on SETI Alpha 6 exploding, shifting the orbit of the planet, making it completely wasted, because before that it was fine. It was just wilderness. But
they never followed up. You can't just leave these people on a planet and not follow up.
Why wouldn't they follow up? Why would they follow up?
They need to see what kind of thing that they've created.
But they're not part of the Federation. Did you if you watch the original Star Trek, they drop colonies all over the friggin' galaxy and never go back. In point of fact, in Next Generation, Picard's making contact with all these old colonies that were put all over the place that the Federation never Like, remember the one with the farming clones, the clones and the farmers. You remember that one? Where they had the farmers, they had to get them. All the farmers were like
The Irish, yeah.
yeah. You remember that?
Yes, I remember that one.
Those
That
were
was
two
great.
colonies
don't
the
remember
Federation just dropped off in the middle of nowhere and never went back to. You know?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Plus, there's a whole pre-Federation sub-light speed,
Yeah.
warp
Right.
one form of exploration that was going on,
Federation-
where some
I think
colonists
Khan
never
had-
even registered where the hell they went.
Yeah, the Federation.
I think Khan had legitimate
at the
beef.
time
I'm
was-
just saying.
I'm saying he had a
I
legitimate
agree.
beef.
I actually agree. Like the him saying, you know, he's like Admiral Kirk never bothered to check on our progress. I believe that was a legitimate
saying
grievance.
I agree he had a legitimate beef, but not against Kirk, against Starfleet or against the
Yeah,
Federation.
but
not
to
against-
him,
Here's the thing.
Kirk won
Kirk never.
Starfleet.
I don't think Kirk ever reported. I don't think he ever reported this to Starfleet. So nobody from
but he put
Starfleet
it in his
knew.
log. He
Doesn't
put
it-
it in his logs.
Doesn't it
Captain's
show?
log. It's going to be in his log, so they would have known. But no one in Starfleet Command or the Federation ever followed up with them. Now you would think, like I know we can do a whole show on this episode because I
We
love the
could.
episode, but there are some flaws in it. You know, I mean, if you want to table this to a whole other episode, because this could be a big Star Trek nerd debate. And I
We
don't
can
want
do a Rathacon. I would gladly do a Rathacon.
Yeah. So in fact,
So I
okay.
can point
so
out everything wrong.
Because like let's Roman, if you want to put together like a Space Seed / Rathacon.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm in. So for our next
Yes.
show,
Moving on.
Yeah.
Well, I just
What
wanted to say that
what
doesn't this show that Nicholas Meyer is even a bigger genius than he even realizes, because
one more thing.
he instigates a fan argument and theory out of just saying, listen, what if this, and then he perfectly cements it into science fiction history. I think it's just amazing.
yes.
One point with the guy on screen here on the right there, he was in a
That's
TV
not
show
his
for
son.
one season
Yeah,
called
Judson
The
Scott.
Phoenix. I can't remember the actor's name. It's a
Judson
very
Scott.
good TV show.
Judson Scott is
Yep.
his name.
I loved it when I was
Look
a kid.
at you pulling that out, Nerdporial,
Good job,
with
there, man.
the
Good
knowledge bank.
Who? I don't
We
know.
just
Nerd-
talked
I don't know
about
no
J.J. Abrams'
Nerdporial. I'm just
Star Trek for a little bit.
You shut your filthy mouth, Flaccid.
But like
good.
here, I love
Wow.
this. Like he's on his last leg here. Like his shit, the Reliant is completely disabled, and he's just like, "No, Kirk, you cannot get away. And with hell's heart, I stab at thee. For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee." And then it just gets wild.
Oh,
after
and
that.
then you're back on Enterprise, and they're scrambling and trying to get
Oh, you remember
the warp
the other
drive
line?
back on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Delivered it.
it hurts my
Revenge
heart.
is
It
just
hurts my heart.
served cold. And it's very cold in space. I love the way he delivered that line too. You know.
So,
Yeah,
but
I never
Khan's-
knew it was a
Khan's
Klingon. I never knew it was a Klingon proverb that, you know, revenge is a dish that is best served cold.
Best served cold. It is very cool. So, wait a minute. I'm going to take Khan off the screen here for a second. So, Khan's entire motivation is revenge, though. He's not off to do some kind of amazing, grand thing. He wants revenge. And
And was
he is a great
ultimately-
character, I think, because his scope was limited.
Yeah.
He wasn't
and
trying to do all this amazing stuff. He was trying to do one thing, do it well, but do the one thing.
And it ultimately led to his undoing. His Judson Scott,
Yes.
you know, Joaquin says he literally walks up to him and says, "You do not have to." He's like, you know, just the fact that you escaped, just the fact that you escaped, and you have Genesis, we can do what we will. We don't. You don't. He literally says, "You don't need to defeat Kirk again." And of course, you get the iconic line from Khan. He tests me. He tests me. And I shall have him. And then I will chase him around the moons of Nibia, around perdition's flames before I give him. I'm sure I left the line out, but it's just that crazy. And he and it gets to a point where Kirk is able to defeat him based on his own knowledge and based on being able to read what Khan was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
Khan,
and
you know,
Spock
two-dimensional
pointed out, two-dimensional thinking.
versus 3D. So they actually went down into the nebula and then they rose back up right behind them.
The thing with the pipe that pulled out of the wall to beat him, my section of fandom back in college had a hypothesis that Kirk had stuff like that planted all over the ship.
You know what? I could believe that. I
He
can
was
believe
ready
it.
to fight anywhere, so he was putting knives in cabinets and pipes in walls.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know if you're going to come across an alien that might have 5 times your strength.
Remember when
you
he
need
beats the
that
crap
pipe.
out of Spock with some implement too in the episode where Spock is in mind control with the plant? Do you remember that? He had to beat Spock.
The side of paradise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he grabs
one
something
where,
and beats Spock.
the
Spock
spores
with it.
spits out. Yeah. He breaks the pipe. He breaks that. He had a rod. He broke the rod, Spock, with his arm.
There's no pun there, Flaccid.
My favorite part of Khan is that he brings to light the homoerotic relationship between Spock and Kirk that we all have been kind of dying to see, but then you see them die separately, and you're like, oh, if only they could have given us that kiss on screen,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the
Yeah,
way
everyone agrees, right?
maybe it's because I've lost somebody, but every time, like when I was a kid, I never thought much of the death scene of Spock, but after losing my dad and stuff, and the way Kirk reacts to it is exactly how I reacted to my father's death. So every time I see that, I get very emotional now. So it's crazy, like it's just crazy how good that scene is.
Yeah.
I remember my mother took me. We watched original series every day. It was on every night, and she cried in the theater. I'll never forget that. Like, she was so connected to this universe. She's really not a nerd on most levels, but she was a diehard Trekkie. And I remember going to the theater, just my mom's crying next to me when Spock died, which makes me cry as a little kid. Like, holy crap, we're allowed to cry. I didn't know it was going to be like this, Mom. It's amazing. Oh my God. So
I think I still cry when Spock dies.
It's
one of those moments that just not so much in the J.J. Abrams when Kirk dies.
I cried the first time because I realized how much Abrams lied to me. So yeah, I did cry.
Yeah.
Khan!
Oh, that was
so
terrible.
bad.
That was
What a
so
great scene.
cringe. I
Quinto
hated
Khan.
that.
Oh,
Yeah. What kind of a swap do you even call that? I mean, is that a plot swap that they did there? Because it's not a gender swap. It's not a character swap. It's not a universe swap. It's a metaverse swap. What the heck? Where
My farts,
Kirk
I smell my own
dies
fart
instead of
swap is what that
Spock?
is. I think I'm so smart and clever. Smart is what he did. Yeah.
Man,
And he got called out for it. And he got called out for it by the press and then lied to everybody about it, which made us all even more angry whenever we realized he was lying. So we're like, yeah, screw this guy.
Oh,
that was not Mr. Cumbersnatch or whatever that people call him. He wasn't Khan. He was John Harrison. He was simply John Harrison. That's all he was. He was one.
No,
he could have been one of Khan's people. I don't care.
I like him as an actor. I hated him as Khan.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't count.
Hated him as Khan.
I think it would have been better if they would have made him one of Khan's people instead of Khan. Like, just let Ricardo Montalban still exist in our minds and everything.
I think it would have been
so
even
stupid.
better. Even better.
He could have been a descendant of Khan. He could have been fine. He was a descendant of Khan. Found out about it later on or whatever.
Yes.
So
we meet a descendant of Khan in that show, Strange New Worlds. Lani Singh.
Great.
She
does not exist.
She is horrible. Like, she's one of the worst characters I've ever seen. That's why I stopped watching that show.
Wait, is she diverse, strong female helmsman?
Oh yeah, and she yells at Spock. She shows Spock how to use the nerve pinch or when to use the nerve pinch because
I have a real problem, and it wasn't so much in OG Star Trek, but and even in Next Gen they did a pretty good job of maintaining it. They played real loosey-goosey with chain of command and how these officers should be interacting.
Yep.
Oh yes, like they always speak out of turn. There's like Pike is Pike played by everybody praises Anson Mount, but he's just he to me he looks weak.
Walked over.
He's weak and he gets walked over. He's more like a friend boss than a captain. You gotta act like a freaking captain.
Well,
you can't.
Also, on the point of that character who's Khan's descendant, didn't they make a very explicit point in Deep Space Nine that since like the beginning of the Federation, genetically engineered people like that are banned from being in Starfleet? Remember Dr. Bashir? The whole,
yeah, Dr. Bashir.
That's
right. All right. I'm gonna ring the last call bell any second now. Let's get this thing back on track, kids.
I know. I think that was
this is the most important villain of all time, Stephen.
That was very condescending, Stephen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm here all night. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll end it with that. I apologize. I need to go to nerd jail for that.
I'll say this really quickly, but I feel young. That's how Wrath of Khan is. It's a beautiful
Daniel, the Daniel, the civilized man, on the panel.
I'm starstruck.
Who are you gonna pick here, buddy, for your great sci-fi villain?
Unlike Flaccid Don, who picked his choice from the Avatar 5 minutes before the show, I actually did my homework, and I came up with criteria for my favorite villain, which has to be one of these four things, all four of these things: spectacular design and style, story revolves around them, a true challenge to the hero, and evil and sinister, so an actual villain. And my first pick, my main pick, is actually my childhood hero, Godzilla, which I'm sure Matt is a huge fan of also.
Oh, hell yeah.
So 1954, the original Godzilla is obviously a villain. And he is, a representation of nuclear Holocaust and Japan's sins and all these things, and a force of destructive nature. There is
I can't get the big one from this angle.
My favorite Godzilla, where he is evil. There's another two movies where the most recent one, Shin Godzilla, which is an excellent remake of Godzilla, reimagination of Godzilla.
Hang on, let me find that one.
This is an evil Godzilla. This is from Godzilla versus Mothra.
And that's the one I'm talking about, the next one. So Shin Godzilla. Yeah. And I actually have a
Is that
clip.
the 2016, Daniel?
Yes.
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 Okay,
So 2016 Shin Godzilla, and they made this wild design for Shin Godzilla where he mutates throughout the movie, and he starts out as this kind of salamanderish looking crawling creature and mutates into his final Godzilla form. And he is this indestructible, just furnace of power.
I'm gonna pull up the picture real fast.
Yeah.
I can't. I found if I leave it on IMDb too long, they actually gave me copyright hits for the videos that IMDb plays.
Interesting.
Yes, the footage of the other trailers and their promotion will flag you. Yes, that's correct.
The YouTube assholes. So.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is very interesting. I won't go too in depth about it, but it's essentially bureaucracy versus Godzilla, and that's the movie. It's a very, very different movie from most Godzilla films, but it's an excellent film, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's a strange Godzilla design. It's not the typical. His mouth does that three-way opening thing, which is I don't always like, but and he fires beams from his entire body, not just his mouth.
I'm going to try to get a still shot of it.
Not just atomic breath.
It's not just atomic breath. And the way the breath works when he first does it is amazing, because at first it's flame. It's red flame that just encompasses like half the city. And then he starts focusing it, and it turns into like a death ray. And he like focuses his breath down into an actual atomic beam. And then he shoots it from his plates on his back. And that's what he's doing it there. And he shoots it from his tail, which is weird. But he is blowing up like bombers, like is it the B-52 bombers or the stealth bombers? B-2 bombers. B-2s. Yeah, he's blowing up.
Actually, no, I think they were B-2s. I want to,
B-2s. They drop Moabs on him, and he survives.
Look at those eyes.
Jeez, yes, terrifying eyes. And
okay,
Matt,
keep talking. I have the scene. I want to see if I will mute it and see if we can show a little bit of the breath weapon.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great if you could show. I have another scene to show that's from another movie, but if you can show that,
you got it to bring up there, Matt.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Hopefully this will show in your
and again, this is a sinister, because Godzilla throughout most of his film career is either a hero or an anti-hero.
So it's muted, and I'll play it like in 5-second chunks if I could here.
You can see all the blood. He just got hit by a Moab.
Yeah.
On his back. A bump.
Stop it.
Yeah. So there's another scene here that I want to show, this is the different movie where Godzilla is a villain, and this is the 2001 Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah giant monsters all-out attack.
That is the most evil-looking Godzilla.
This is the evilest Godzilla.
What's this one called?
Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, all-out monsters attack.
Yes.
It's more alliterative in the Japanese.
I'll be goddamn! I found it.
Just rolls off the tongue there, Roman.
It's just very natural.
So I'm going to share my screen here, Roman, if you.
Oh, you got it. Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yeah. So this here is the design, and he's got these white blank eyes, and he's just so sinister. So I want to play this scene, and this is another YouTube. So I think there's no problem playing this with the volume.
No one knows.
Well, it's an
Tell me if there is.
it's an existing YouTube video, and I found multiple ones of this scene.
We must be cautious.
Yeah, I can pause it. So it's not too long. So this is about Godzilla when he's rampaging through the city, and you can kind of see what they're going for here. How's that volume? Is that okay, everyone?
I actually can't hear it.
Oh, really? Dang. Oh, well, sorry.
And the special effects in this are nice.
I always hated that crane.
Good God, man. Oof. Destruction.
That is a nice design. I like that.
So,
this is a glorious scene.
I am so screwed.
Matt knows what's coming. Yeah, this is a fantastic scene. So we get
And
to
I
see.
cheered. I was the only person in the theater who cheered when this scene happened.
We get an up close and personal here.
Hey, baby.
She's never going to be in the Eternals
gosh.
now.
Oh no.
Nope. And then there's another one here, which is also great. He's rampaging through the city, and he hears people screaming, and he literally watches them.
Oh no.
Oh wow, children, we have to evacuate. He just melts them all. It's the best.
That's a nuclear pulse attack. That's not just a breath. He took the whole city out.
Yeah. He hears like I did a little too short, but basically he hears like he's rampaging through here, and a woman screams, and then like they turn the camera.
Now
There. Oh, I guess they this one cut it a little bit. Anyways, you can hear it. There's a woman screaming, and like he turns right when she's screaming, basically saying, "I hear you, I see you all, and now I'm going to blow you up." And that's why this is a villain Godzilla. This is a evil, sinister Godzilla. So
I think I like evil Godzilla a lot more than I like friendly. The King of all monsters Godzilla.
yes.
Scary Godzilla should be scary. I mean, that's like, Hulk. Hulk in the Marvel universe originally was scary, and now he's, lame.
Yeah,
not
original
scary Hulk.
1954 Godzilla is different from all the other Godzillas because
The only-
the other day there was another. I think Godzilla had a brother, and that was the Godzilla for the rest of the
Gary
series.
Godzilla.
it's kind
yes.
of different from continuity to continuity. Like in the original Showa, all the Godzillas after the original were the Godzilla from Gigantus the Fire Monster, which is the second one.
Yeah,
They froze him in the ice block. People don't realize it because most people in America don't even see the second one. When he escapes from the ice block in the third film, that's him having been frozen in there in Gigantus.
yeah.
Now, Godzilla 1984 is the original Godzilla. He survived. He somehow came back. They don't explain it.
No.
Even with that solution that was supposed to kill everything.
It just like dissolved his like living flesh or whatever, but his bones were still down there, so to speak.
They use his bones again.
That's in the third
Godzilla.
series with when they make Kiryu. They
Kiryu.
decide, let's make a supercomputer out of evil Godzilla's bones, and nothing bad will happen.
Yes, that was actually in the
Yeah.
theaters. That was in the theaters just a couple weeks ago for Godzilla
Yeah.
Day.
First time in the U.S.
Fathom Events.
Wait,
had it.
there's a Godzilla Day?
Yes.
It
And-
happened.
I did a video on it. Next year on Godzilla Day, which
I
is
suck.
69th Godzilla Day, Toho's releasing they just finishing a new Toho Godzilla film. And they're going to release it on Godzilla Day, the
Wow.
69th one.
The Godzilla Day Fathom Events where they replayed Godzilla against Mecha Godzilla, which is the 2002 film. They actually also did a short where they did Godzilla versus the swamp monster. What's his name?
Tommy. Lester.
Hidora.
Hidora. So they did a short, like 5-minute film of Godzilla versus Hidora, which is awesome. And then they showed the behind the scenes of the crew making the movie, and you can see all their passionate energy and how much they love it. And you're like, oh, this is what actual movie making should look like.
Well, for those, he's Monopoly's loser 2 is asking a question. Yes, in Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah, he is the the spirit of vengeance of those who were killed by the nuclear bomb. He's a
Yes.
mythical force.
Wow.
And Ghidorah, King Ghidorah is actually the good guy. He's
Sort of.
normally always been sort of. He's essentially a spirit defending Japan. So
Yeah.
so Mothra and
Not the
Ghidorah.
people of Japan. That's Mothra defending.
Yes.
Defending the land of Japan.
Right.
He's a legend about there is a legendary dragon. There's another movie.
So
Orochi the eight-headed dragon, which is kind of.
So they use it because he's the closest thing, and so basically Godzilla's the bad guy, and the typical bad guys from all the past movies, Mothra's always been kind of either or, are all the defenders. Godzilla's the villain. Yeah. So a great movie, the 2001 Godzilla.
I gotta tell you, Daniel, I after what you said and what we saw, I really want to see this movie now. I was always, because I know Hideaki Anno directed Shin Godzilla. And I was always pretty sore about the fact that because he was working on Evangelion films for several years. And so like he had one more film to work on, and instead of working on the final film and then working on Shin Godzilla, he works on Shin Godzilla in between that. And it pissed off a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
But based on what I saw and based on like how Godzilla was depicted and how creative it was, it looks good. Like the visual quality is there. It looks like something that's is almost as good as classic Japanese cinema.
They do a great job of melding what like they usually do, actual model making along with much newer CGI, for Shin Godzilla. It's excellent. And this 2001 one I recommend as well. I'm sure Matt feels the same way.
I recommend all Godzilla films, all of them.
Oh yeah,
all of them. Oh, one more Godzilla thing. This month, I haven't seen it yet. For the first time in the U.S., the Japanese Godzilla Island TV series, the cartoon, it's going to be free on YouTube. I haven't seen it pop yet, but
that wasn't the one that was on when we were kids, is it, Matt?
That's the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon, which I have in 1080p, by the way. It's pretty good read scan of it. This is a Japanese cartoon from the 90s. I've seen a couple episodes of it through like really bad VHS bootlegs, but it's never been released in any form outside of Japan. And so it's supposed to be dropped on YouTube this month, all the episodes of it.
And before we get back into anything any deeper than this, I think Don has to go. Flaccid, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for stopping by. And Roman will be beaten up later on for chastising you on the panel.
That's fine. Yeah, I know where Roman
I want to say that I want to say to Don that it was very tempting to not make Luthen my villain for today after your pitch, because I fan theory that could possibly be the greatest twist since the Vader twist in Empire. It's this view. It's not that hard to contrive. I actually thought about doing a video of wouldn't this be the greatest twist ever? And it was how he's like the double agent and everything was set up and whatever. And I'm like, that'd be the greatest twist ever if that actually was going to happen in a week, which it will not, but it would be amazing.
We have another season, maybe, so we'll see. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Love talking with you guys. Finally, I was on a panel with, I think the first time with Daniel. So it was great to talk to you, Daniel.
It's great to talk to you.
At some point, come on our stream, and we'll be streaming me and my co-host Gator on Mondays at 9 p.m. Central Time, but I won't divert any more of you guys' time. So, hey, thanks for having me on. J.J. Abrams, the best Star Trek, and I always dream of you, Steven.
Me too, man. Me too.
Right, well, thank you for being on, Flaccid, so much. I've been trying to get you on, and you've been avoiding me like a bad date, so I appreciate you being here. Make sure you check out Flaccid's channel.
No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Well, I would say unsubscribe, but I
don't
want
unsub.
you to.
You unsub so that you can sub. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll drop a link so people can unsub in case they somehow sub at some point. So
some days when I need to, I just go unsub for fun.
Oh, I know. It's a power move. I feel great afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel awesome when I unsub so I can sub again. Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Have fun, Don.
Goodbye, Flaccid. Thank you for
say hi to Gator.
Na.
I've actually met the Flaccids in the real world, and they are a hoot. They're no different in the real world than they are online, except that they're not avatars, because that would be weird. All right. So now we are around to Pops.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, obviously, Khan is like this legendary villain, so it was really hard to figure out kind of like how to navigate around other things on a list. I'm a total honk for like creatures, and obviously Godzilla sets the bar pretty high. However, my choice would probably be Alien, the H.R. Geiger creature that come to life. I saw the TV version. I didn't even see it in theater when the first movie dropped. I was just kind of on that cusp of the age limit, and the TV version still scared the bejesus out of me. And then to know that we go into like, and I hate people that want to compare the first one to the second one because you're talking about like, you know, more like sci-fi horror versus like action sci-fi. They're like it's almost like they're not even the same genre. Yeah, they're not even the same genre.
They aren't.
But for me, when you look at like the other aspect for me personally as the big comic book nerd is the comic book lore of Alien and Aliens is truly amazing. When the origin story was printed in the Dark Horse Presents comic books, I was like totally hooked to buy every Alien comic book that ever came out after that. It was just also
Dark Horse
good.
did a nice job with that stuff.
All that black and white detailed art, the covers, just all of it, just and all these little. And the best part about the Aliens comic books is they're mostly miniseries, like they're 4 issues or 6 issues. They're very short, so it was easy to manage as a you know, a college kid that could figure out a way to get like a battered copy or something to read, and it just expanded this universe so much. But when this first movie came, you have so many just growing intensity and elements of creepiness with, you know, from the exploration of the planet to the face hugger to the chest bursting to the, you know, the execution of Dallas in its creepy way to, you know, the acid blood and all of these different elements. It holds up just as much for me today as it did then. Everything you said, Daniel, when you were describing the 4 elements of what you would need to have the perfect villain, to me was embodying this. I was like checking them off one at a time. Like, yep, this is pretty much works for me. Mm-hmm. And then to know that, you know, and again, not all the movies hold up well or even done remotely well, but the idea that you would still have this organism because of the face hugger, it would merge with another organism and you would have a mutated version. So you have like the dog version that, you know, comes out in Alien 3.
Unfortunate Alien 3.
Yeah.
Right. So there are elements of the films, even when they're terrible, I don't know about you guys, but there's elements of those moments where I'm like, I can fast forward through parts of them and then watch these sequences, and I can watch, you know, 40 minutes of Alien 3, and I can watch this one and I get like, you know, so I enjoy the Alien franchise probably way more than I should, because it goes beyond the first 2 movies for me and into some of the other films and stuff, but also really the comic book stuff for me. I can't get enough of it all. I really wish.
Did you read any of the books, Pops? The actual novelizations, not the direct novelizations of the films, but the kind of follow up to, you know, it basically they took place after Aliens.
Yeah, to be honest, I just haven't, and I don't even know that even when because people keep talking about that, especially with the Star Wars stuff too. It's like I've just kind of checked out of a lot of the, you know, extended universe stuff. It's a time management thing, and I figured, well, we're going to retire probably sooner than most of you guys based on the looks of things, you know. So I'll have plenty of time to catch up on some of those novels and things like that in my retirement days out on the farm. So, but yeah, no, it's great. It's great to know. So,
Pops, do you want to comment to Monopoly Losers statement here about Dark Horse Alien books? Are those still in print? And how does one go about acquiring one of those things?
Okay, well, so to get any comic books right now, go to your local comic book shop. Like, you got to keep them in business. Go there. They are more than happy to continue to make a fortune off back issues right now, because new comics by and large suck, right? So, I mean, yes, there are some good comic books. And I will say I did a review that will drop about Batman, because it seems like Chip Zdarsky doesn't want to get fired whenever they turn the crosshairs on DC Comics, because he's written a Batman story that's actually pretty good. And I'm like, Gray was right. And so there are a few things. My theory is that there's people at DC that are like, we literally will be out of work when this guy looks at us. We better start figuring out a way to write.
We need to be out of work at DC Comics.
Oh, right. No, I totally understand. Chip Zdarsky has blocked me on Twitter, so it's not like I'm talking about a single person.
Well done, right? My friend.
Well, give Zaslav time. He hasn't gotten to DC Comics yet.
I'm just who I am, and I've been blocked. I mean, I've interviewed and talked to these people like over years, and yet I'm still blocked because they're crazy people. But to answer your question, go to your local comic book shop, see what they have. Look at back, especially if you want to read them. There are obviously graphic novels and reprints, things like that. eBay can be a good resource. Look for auctions, especially. Like, you can look up an issue and say Alien Earth War find out what some of the things are, then look at auctions. You can get lucky in a cheaper price. I probably will do a video at some point on some of these different ones. They're just a lot of them, to be honest, because they're only like 4 issues or 6 issues, something like that.
Yeah,
They're really not hard to track down.
I have to ask you, Pops. You talked about the comics showing the backstory. So it was do they talk about the backstory of like the space jockeys and all that too?
Well, not as much as I would have liked. I really wish they would have done some of that. But at the time, just the fact that I don't know. So when I read it, and I haven't read it for a while, and I have the ones I got graded because they're beautiful. They're slabbed, so it's like that. It's really one of the hardest books to get in good condition because it's like got a bright blue spine and stuff. So the 2 copies I had, I got slabbed for financial reasons. So I haven't reread them in a long time. It didn't
I'm
give you all.
I'm curious if they go into like how this ship landed on LV 426.
That's all.
Didn't you see Prometheus?
That's. I've always wanted to know more about the space.
Prometheus.
Jockey.
What's that? I've never heard of that.
I joke.
Yeah.
Alien Covenants. I didn't know they had Covenants.
Yeah, it's
who franchise with those movies.
Yeah, and I think they're dead at this point. It's been 5 years since Covenant came out, so I don't think they're ended on a cliffhanger.
I kind of have to defend Ridley Scott. If they had let him make the Prometheus he wanted to make,
I like
it's because of him that Neil Blomkamp didn't make Alien 5.
I like Prometheus better than Covenant because Covenant just kills all of the space jockeys, just wipes them all out, and you get nothing. It's just the beginning of the movie. Let's kill them all, get them out of the way.
Just and then David was the one that created the alien. Oh my god,
I hated that storyline so much. Because David to me was actually one of the more interesting aspects of those movies. I like Michael Fassbender as well. I think he's one of those great underutilized actors. His part was good. The way they did the evolution of the alien through him was unforgivable.
In Prometheus, if you look at the image of the engineer's Jesus, their version of Jesus, it's an alien.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and look at the imagery.
Prometheus had ideas. They're all executed poorly, but it had ideas.
Yeah. They made him change stuff. He didn't want to like do a direct tie-in, like the direct prequel to Alien, so to speak. He wanted to do the engineer, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I think they should have just did a direct prequel, in my opinion. Just do one movie and that's it.
I was never that interested in how the ship got there so much. I was always interested in the bigger universe, doing more in that universe than just the aliens.
I was curious where those eggs came from, if they were actually, if they were actually organisms or if they were actually just bioweapons that were,
I was wondering if they were cargo or if it was something that got on the ship. That kind of thing.
That can be too.
Although, that's one of the good things about this kind of sci-fi is it lets you wander this myriad of theories as to how things happen. Yeah. And when they throw it at you, in its base form, like they did in Prometheus and then again in Alien Covenant, I don't want those stories. I like to be able to think about it and have these discussions. If you just vomit it up on me, what's the fun in that? Where's the joy in discovery?
I agree.
Yeah, right?
I agree with that.
Hashtag let's keep the mystery alive.
Yeah. I'll say this: what made this original film work, and Pops, I'm sure you'd agree with me, is that we see very little of the alien. They use the alien very sparingly, kind of like the same with Jaws. Like you
absolutely
know it's there. It has a presence throughout the entire movie, but we barely see it, and that's what makes it work, in my opinion. That's what makes the movie terrifying as hell.
And then when they do this, when we get aliens and we've advanced in technology and we can at least get something that we can have as a presentable yet scary and intense version of the creatures, it works because it's a fast-paced action thriller type sci-fi film. So it still works because we do see aliens, we see different dynamics of the Queen, we see different elements of the universe. I just want to circle back to what you guys were saying about.
I didn't like bug look. I didn't like the way the xenomorphs looked in Aliens. I didn't like that.
Well, they were less sleek
compared to the sleek,
original Alien,
terrifying original Alien. I don't know what it
was. Adapt to their environment. In other words, they're supposed to absorb local genetic material and adapt. So wherever you put the egg, they're going to look different.
Right.
Okay.
I was just going to say with the stories, with you guys were talking about, whether they're a bio weapon or natural, because the original origin of the comic book dealt with more like in their organic environment, how they kind of fit into the ecosystems and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
It was just interesting, but what it didn't do was like you have Earth War and some of the other stuff where they do try to basically try to harvest the alien to turn it into a weapon and those kinds of things. The comic books love to do all that kind of stuff. It was like
Pops,
it's
I
a free
think
reign.
what you're describing right now is, it sounds like they did a novelization of the graphic novels. Because what you just said is something that I've read, and I've never read the graphic novels.
Okay.
So I think because they talk about the royal jelly and all that. Yeah, that's in these books. So that must be what they did. The books, like I said, it's a good read. I enjoyed them, and I do recommend them. Because it's a follow-up. It's Alien 3 and Resurrection and Aliens versus Predators and all the other things. Those are not part of this universe. This is a direct follow-up to Aliens and that universe. So it's a fun read. So I do recommend that in graphic novel form or in straight novel form. It's if you love this universe.
Well, if you go back and read Aliens, Colonial Marines, and Aliens Rogue, which I think are two of the first three comic series from Dark Horse, they're not in any way compatible with the movie Aliens. Because the Colonial Marines are vastly different in Aliens, Colonial Marines.
They made a game of that too.
Yeah,
Colonial.
Sure. When did
terrible.
When did that one come out? I don't know.
It was 2013, I believe. It was
the comic series were the 80s because I was like 10 or something when they came out.
Oh, sorry, you were asking the comic. I answered the video game for the video.
Matt just cuts me deep when they say things like that. And I was 10. It's like, oh my crap, freaking, oh god, yeah. No,
the 80s were the best friggin' decade. I know things have been good and some things are bad. The 80s had so much awesome crap in them, man. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely right. 1982, baby, best year in film. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Oh my God.
I could argue 1984.
Wrath of Khan.
1984.
I can always go over the top, Nerd Parlor, because they re-released Raiders of the Lost Ark in theaters in 1982. So that's my trump card. They did. They put Raiders back in the theaters in '82. It's like, oh, that's the trump card right there. So it's like
19,
it's like you get to go back.
Yeah,
you get to see
Trump?
it. Oh yeah. I'll say it. I don't care. When it comes to 1982, baby.
I'll say why I'm partial. 1984 is like may or may not have been born that year. Just saying.
Nice.
Okay. Well,
you're just a baby.
Then you got Ghostbusters.
I may or may not
then
have been in junior high school that year.
Yeah, I was watching movies.
Good God. And that got weird really fast.
That was good.
All right.
We're doing great. This is some great banter going back and forth.
All right. So, Steven, out of the xenomorph and into this.
I'm going to bring it back down to earth.
My
My pick for my first villain is Norman Stansfield from Leon the Professional.
Oh,
really?
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
That guy with his drug pills and his DEA nonsense where he's double crossing his own police force, accidentally and purposefully just murdering people. This guy, man, he kills a kid, he kills a child, he kills teenagers. This guy has no holds barred. He doesn't care.
The fact that he lived through all those drugs
sounds like a 2020 governor, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right. Grief. This guy, he's what everybody feared that the DEA was actually up to.
And, and I always argue when I talk to people about him. Actually, I'm just going to go back to that picture because that pretty much says it all. This is like the most Gary Oldman of Gary Oldman roles.
Mm-hmm.
What movie is this again? I'm sorry.
This is Leon the Professional. This is the one that gave us Natalie Portman. Basically, this kind of really blew up her whole career.
Steven's gone rogue with us on this one, though.
That's not a sci-fi movie.
That's what I mean. Steven went rogue. He picked a villain. He didn't pick a sci-fi villain, though. He just picked a villain. He did his own thing here. It's Steven.
You know what? I completely forgot that we were sticking to sci-fi because we still are.
This is what you get with live streaming, folks.
He did so many drugs in that movie. It's science fiction that he survived the movie. So
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Jacob Ironside. Yeah, who do you want to? Everyone.
Yeah, I liked that character a lot, and I love the way Gary Oldman played it because it was so very intense. Here he is again. He was such a freaking oddball, just with the whole biting down on the drug and the.
Yeah, my speculation is that those tablets were filled with coke. That's what that was. That's what that was all about.
I think the character was just filled with coke.
Yeah, well,
the actor may have also been filled with coke. Nobody knows.
Or as X-Ray Girl would say, cock.
That's also true. Lord. All right, Steven threw us for a loop there.
Yeah, well, I had to bring it back down to the ground. God, we were drifting off into secondary reading material from previous generations, and good heavens.
Because that's how we roll.
I think this is more evidence of Steven returning to his mafia roots, is what this is.
I think so as well.
This is true. This is true. I mean,
But Leon is a very underrated film. It's a very good pick. And we
It's
just
a
talked
great
about.
movie.
We just did a talk hard on Fifth Element, and man, Gary Oldman is so underrated in that film. Like, it's so freaking immersive and incredible.
I'm gonna be 100% honest, and you're gonna hate me for this. I hate The Fifth Element so much.
I do not like it either, Roman.
I hate it.
Roman.
There is literally nothing about that movie that I like.
Roman,
it hurts me when it's on.
If you want to have a bash stream someday, invite me. I will help you bash that movie. I can't stand it.
Wow.
Thank you, Daniel.
Wow.
I may have to counter program.
We could have Matt there to defend it. We could do like a trial kind of thing or something.
There is no defense of that movie. There is just it's just so terrible.
Wow.
I don't even know why people like that movie. I don't know why anybody likes that movie. I love Bruce Willis, and I hate him in that. I love Oldman, and I hate him in that. I don't even know who the redheaded chick is, but I probably like her in something else, but I hate her in that.
Mila Jovovich is a goddess. She's a pure goddess.
Oh, I do like her. Because my secret shame movies are literally every one of the Resident Evil movies, and they're all terrible. Some of them are more terrible than others.
I don't just mean because she's beautiful. She's an amazing human being.
Thank you,
Invaders.
I don't care about that. I think she's hot, and I like her on screen. But
Sam, I am not wrong. I am never wrong. That's the beauty of being me, of the Empire. We get our stuff right. So I'm gonna bring us back round the hell away from The Fifth Element to this guy, HAL 9000.
Nice. Yeah, he was my second. He was my second pick.
Well,
I love HAL 9000, and I hate HAL 9000.
I'm sorry, Roman. I can't do that.
I know. What are you doing, Roman? So
this conversation no longer holds any meaning for me.
Goodbye.
Hal kills his entire crew, and you don't really even know why in the first film. With the follow-up, 2010 is also a very good movie. It doesn't have the same vibe as 2001, but I really like 2010. What's his the shark guys in it? Help me. The Martin from Jaws.
Roy Scheider.
Roy Scheider.
Thinking, good Lord, I'm very old. You have to understand. So I thought he gave a great performance. I thought the plot of that was very good, with the whole U.S. and Soviet tensions building and all of that. But
it was cool how they came together and they worked together, and you see bonds between like John Lithgow's
the crew members
and one of the other Russians. I forget that actor's name. So when they lose him, it was heartbreaking.
And her too. She's another top flight actress. The name is escaping my brain, but that cast in that movie across the board, including the guy who was the other person from. Not from Jaws, but from Close Encounters, the one who plays the computer analyst. He's the
Dr.
cartographer.
Chandra.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
He plays
the
the
one who built Hal.
cartographer from Close Encounters.
Yeah. What's his? I
but-
forget his actor's name. Yeah.
But Hal kills the entire crew, and he becomes very menacing. I mean, he takes control of the robotic ship, and Dave is doing his best to and he ends up having to pull Hal's brain out ultimately. So
my
to speak.
mind is going.
Yep.
And he's
Stop,
singing
Dave.
Daisy, as he's fading out.
Yeah.
But Hal was, you never really see, Hal is this, non-corporeal voice that is the ship.
Hey, I heard non-corporeal. I heard I heard poreal, and then that in that sense.
I brought him back, folks. I brought him back. He thought he was out. I brought him back in. But Hal as a sci-fi villain is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very different type of villain. Like he's out of all the characters, characters in 2001, he's probably the most human character, probably the one that the viewer, the audience can relate to, and who has the most dialogue. He has way more dialogue than Dr. Poole, and he has way more dialogue than Dr. Bowman. And even Dr. Floyd, you barely hear Dr. Floyd speak in the movie.
Dr. Floyd isn't in the movie very much at all. He's got that bit in the beginning.
Yeah,
Hal was a movie warning about Google today.
Yeah. Hal passes the test, and everyone knows who Hal is. You could say Hal.
Yeah, you're right.
I love. You remember, the shot where the pod attacks Frank Poole. So
yes,
the pod is going towards the camera. You see the lights.
Let me see if I can find that.
You see the lights. You see the lights on that pod, and the lights on the pod. And this is not something I came up with. This was something another great channel called Collative Learning discusses. The eyes of the pod resemble the eyes of the leopard in the beginning, or I don't know if it was a leopard or a tiger in the beginning of the movie during the dawn of man. See, because you see the eyes kind of glow. Their eyes kind of glow. The predator. Same idea, the whole predatory instinct. It turns slowly, and then slowly advances, and then it takes out the leopard takes out one of the apes in the beginning. Well, this pod takes out Dr. Poole, and what we see, the shot that we see of Hal is zoom, 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 and then we see him flying across space, and then we see the pod flying in the other direction, and Dave's like, "What the hell's going on? What's going on?" And so that was pretty much the end of Dr. Poole. He was been floating in space for too long, to the point where so that was the first victim. And then he kills the other 3 scientists who are already in stasis, and it's just so creepy. That whole segment when you see you're just looking at beeping signs on the wall, and you hear alarms. You go D. It gets quicker, and then it just goes silent. Once the life signs are terminated, it just goes silent for like several seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, there's horror elements in 2001. Like
the kind of horror that it is that it's so insanely benevolent, because Hal is just a contrivance running numbers, and that's what makes it deeply horrifying.
It's a clinical
in
type
the
of horror.
1950s. There was a film
because it's detached.
In the 1950s, there was a movie called Colossus: The Forbin Project, about a guy named Forbin who built a supercomputer, and they basically gave it control of the nuclear arsenal and started micromanaging people's lives. Like it was telling the scientists, because you only need the scientists to live. You will sleep at this time. You will mate at this time. You will eat at this time. You know, and that's like Hal on steroids.
Yeah, and it was supposed to go against the Russian computer, but it wound up buddying up with the Russian computer, and the two of them kind of took over the whole world. What a great movie!
Yeah. What did you think of the music, especially the creepy part where you go wherever they encounter the monoliths, and you hear
it's very avant-garde. It's just strange. That vote the choiring. I don't even know what you would call that, because it's choir stuff.
It's chorus,
But it's just so bizarre. And this movie, remember, this is 1968?
Yeah, 1968.
Yeah, 68, 69, yeah.
It is just so impressively filmed. Yes, and the ideas behind it, the idea of something like Hal, is in 1968, it's absurd. You know, that he was able to put these things together.
Yeah,
and give you
where they develop HAL. They develop HAL in the future year of I think 1992 or something in Urbana, Illinois, not too far from me. You know, so just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing too that you can't. I was just gonna say the thing too when you growing up and I didn't see this in the theater, but I saw it very young. Was it just gave you this innate fear of computers and stuff? It just really messed with your brain a little bit. Like, gosh,
I wanted to build that.
Yeah, I know. So it just, I don't know. There was that element too that you had in your back of your mind. So then, of course, we follow that up with like, Terminator and Skynet. So there's this, all of this stuff kind of fed into a little bit of, the nerddom of computers and stuff like that. Because the normies never kind of got a lot of this kind of stuff. And this film does, it really is very underrated of people that are not like cinemaphiles and stuff. Like people, a lot of the normies just don't get it.
It's the definition
Just look
of
at these
highbrow
shots.
cinema.
it's boring. It's
Yeah.
lame. You don't understand the movie.
Yeah.
No, you're boring. You're lame.
Yeah.
If you don't understand the terror of 2001, then you don't get it. And it's not. It may not be. Maybe it's not your fault. I don't know.
But
But,
I love what they do. Like I'm going back into the music, but I love what they do when they're close to Earth, when they're dealing with Earth stuff. They play Johann Strauss. They play Blue Danube. Dun, 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 dun. They play that.
Oh yeah.
And then when they go into aliens, once they go into more alien territory, then you hear the creepy ooh, or
the different chants and
or the chants,
what we would refer to as Gregorian or angelic. Those kinds of things that are supposed to be beyond cosmic at that level.
Yes, and like especially when they go to Jupiter, wow. And then you get the crazy Stargate sequence, which may or may not be all in Homer Simpson's mind when he's on the vibrating chair. If you ever seen that Simpsons episode.
Good grief.
But yeah, this was a great. I thought the ending of the movie, like the ending of the movie, I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, what is going on? He sees himself, he dies, he comes back, he turns into a baby. An ugly baby.
You're a baby.
I was scared. I was scared of babies after this movie.
Babies and scary.
Interestingly enough, in the anime community, there's a series called Evangelion. And 2001 is actually the grandfather of such kinds of devices that confuse the audience of Evangelion. It's just where it just goes off the rails and just keeps on going.
Yeah, I think that director directed a movie that I think Daniel recommended, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Shin Godzilla, same guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Hideaki Anno.
Stop making up words. What we brought it up. I know. I'm sorry.
Roman, the definition of norm.
So we brought this up just a little bit. Why Hal is so terrifying? Because of the cold detachment. He's not doing it out of malice.
He starts off as relatable. He starts off as very relatable. He's easy to talk to. He's the most human. He's the most human element of 2001. And then you see him do this. It's terrifying. It's like imagine your friend imagine you know this individual for weeks now, working with him, and all of a sudden he kills somebody, because he just doesn't have that,
Well, I mean, it's pointed out later in the sequels.
Right.
He did it because he had conflicting programming.
He had to keep the mission secret, but he couldn't lie at the same time, if I remember correctly.
Right. It was a complication in the program.
Apparently, it's also explained in the novelization differently since the novel was written.
The novel they go to Saturn instead of Jupiter.
Yeah.
Kubrick kept a lot of the story elements secret from even Clark.
Well, they only worked on the first one together, and while they collaborated on it and they're co-authors of both, they diverged. And then Clark.
And the reason why we went to Jupiter instead of Saturn in Kubrick's version is because Kubrick openly admits that he just couldn't get Saturn to work on screen. He couldn't figure out how to make the rings look believable. And good thing he didn't even attempt it, because just a few years later, the Voyager mission finally got to Saturn, and they were just like, nope, this is what Saturn actually looks like. Sorry, kids.
So I mean that whole Jupiter thing. Oh, by the way they depict Jupiter in the movie, holy crap. I like how like they make Jupiter look so big. They make it look gargantuan. They make it look like a massive monster compared to everything else, especially how tiny the Discovery is.
Well, I think in terms of volume, you could fit either 300, 3,000, or 30,000 Earths inside the surface of Jupiter.
Right.
Like the way they show it, like it covers way beyond the frame. That's what I.
Yeah.
It's just so terrifying.
Yeah. Kubrick's sense of scale in that, especially when he pulls the camera way back and the Discovery is just a speck on screen. You're like, man, space is gigantic and terrifying.
Yes, and there's always that. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but there might be a possibility it might not be explorable. That's the other thing. Yeah, I know, I'm a big Trek fan. The positive thing, but there's the possibility that space might be even too big for us to go through.
It's more than a possibility. It's very likely.
Yeah, considering that
certainly
we've barely broken outside of what we currently measure as our solar system, that the Voyager missions are still not yet past what they refer to as a heliostop.
One of them
There's
might be
mixed evidence
there, or there was an announcement.
Voyager. In the process of getting there.
Voyager 6, Voyager 3 or 4, whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Like it would take 20,000 years to get to Alpha. If it just to go at like top speed, it would take 20,000 years just to get to Alpha Centauri, which I believe is supposed to start.
I can't pronounce the word. It's some sort of French word, but the guy Albuquerque, he actually is a physicist. He actually produced a working, like we can't build it. We don't have the engineering to build it, but it's a working model of a way to travel faster than light.
Is this the warp drive?
Yeah, the Albuquerque drive, basically.
I've been hearing there's a lot of models out there right now. If physics would just get out of everybody's way, we might be able to explore some of these
engineering
things.
That's the problem. So,
Can I just point out that 2000? I was going to say with 2001, you guys only won one Oscar, and that was the Best Special Visual Effects Award, didn't we? It wasn't even nominated for Best Picture.
Wow.
So
I was looking to see what
appreciated that movie was, even in its own time.
It really,
like I said, you look at it now and it still looks amazing.
Yeah.
Back then, that should have been mind blowing.
Yeah, it was mind blowing.
I mean, John Lennon
I thought a few years later. Yeah.
Yeah, John Lennon went to see it every day. When it came out.
I remember the sequel
also
came
not
out.
a John Lennon
sequel, because the sequel came out in '84, and I remember like most people didn't like that either. They're just like, ugh, it's like, okay.
I liked it. I liked 2010.
I liked the sequel too. I thought it was fine. I had a great time.
Yeah.
I was like, this is deep. This is awesome.
I did
good
not know the movie existed until like I saw 2001 broadcast on Channel 11 WTTW. That's basically PBS here in Chicago. I did not know 2010 existed until a buddy of mine found the movie at a flea market in a DVD bin.
Wow!
And we watched it. Wow. He brought it because I showed them 2001. He actually brought 2010 to me, and we watched it together. So
I
Your
read
Poriel has like the comment right now. First of all, yes. DeGrasse Tyson is a villain. And this one is really effed up. It's accurate, but it's effed up. Hey, listen, I remember.
I didn't know you had to be personal about it. I mean, just because I still have issues with my blunt objects. I mean,
bones and everything.
When they discovered water is important. That was a real game changer for us. No more raw meat. I was happy. He was happy.
Fire was a big day. I mean, fire was a big day. Let's just be honest, right? A big day, right? I mean, I'm not going to say women invented the wheel, but there were wheels. We were happy to see them. We were happy they're there. Listen, you do what you do.
Man,
it's fine. I see how y'all are going to be. Roll and nos one post at a time. See.
All right, so I think we can probably get off of Hal in a non-sexual way and roll back over to Nerdporial.
No, we miss Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, you
Fuck
kinda
off!
skipped me.
Oh God, we did miss Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't leave. Matt's leaving. Matt's trying to leave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Remember, I am very old. I was there at fire.
I'm actually building Hal right now to come after you guys.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry. Okay, Matt.
Okay.
Matt.
So I got a picture for you there.
all right, excellent.
So I was thinking when
Adding
I
to
was
the
doing
stream.
the list, I figured I would go for some sort of like to encourage people to see other stuff. Okay. So she's a villain named Serverland from a show called Blake 7. Blake 7 it's based on books. It was a British TV show from the 80s. And it was a character-driven show about a fascist government that ruled a paradisical society. Okay. And there were rebels against the society because they still wanted their freedom. Interesting contrast going on. And she's basically the Bond villain who ruled it all. Okay. And right away when you get into Blake 7, it opens with Blake, the hero of the rebellion, having been captured, and they don't kill him. They don't imprison him. They reprogram him not to be a good citizen, but to go out there as bait to lure more rebels and to start another rebellion so that they can catch more fish with him, you know? So, and she's the one who comes up with that plan. And she does stuff all through this show like, we need to manipulate those people in that event, kill those 4 children, reprogram those 2. Like she's just a casual Bond villain. And the actress Jacqueline Pierce, who you've probably seen in some other stuff, some Hammer films, some TV shows over the years, she knows how to play this role so well. And if you haven't seen Blake 7, obviously it's an obscure sort of property from a lot of modern fans. It's worth watching. It's character-driven science fiction. It's politically relevant to a lot of stuff we're experiencing today. All the actors are great. It's very dark.
Yeah, I've not heard of this one, bud.
Yeah. It's worth reading, but it's even worth watching. Those who want to see it of our people, I can sort of hook you up with the episodes if you can't find them in real life.
This is a Terry Nation, right? Guy that created the Daleks in Doctor Who.
Yeah, I don't know if he created. I know he worked on it. I don't know if he's the creator of it. Well, the book writer is the creator of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's a showrunner for all of it. It's been a long time since now I want to watch it again. So there we go. But when I was a little kid watching her, she was the ultimate. Like I talked about Sutek the Destroyer from Doctor Who as the scariest villain when I was a little kid. And to this day, I hear that guy's voice as Sutek, and I'm like, like when I saw her, she was like the ultimate evil mother. You know what I mean? Like everything.
I thought that was my mother.
Yeah. Everything that the wicked godmother did in Snow White, she did 10 times over. She's a Bond villain.
You mean Cinderella?
Yeah. Who's the
Queen and Snow White, the
Maleficent.
godmother, and
Maleficent.
Oh, Maleficent. Oh,
yeah. So her, everything she was, this is that times 10. And I know, again, not a topic because it's a sort of obscure villain. So I'm saying it mainly as a point to encourage people to watch Blake 7. There we go.
I'm all about obscure. Matt always, he brings the weird because he has this vast knowledge base. So if he's recommending a thing, it's probably a thing that is worth you checking out. Audience numbers.
I could bring up Khan. He was one of the first guy. Literally, the first guy I thought was Khan. Literally. I know.
Oh yeah, he's one of the big top guys.
No,
I was hoping we would get into a little bit weird because I'm all about weird. Steven got a little weirder than I anticipated, but that's okay. So that's so.
Like I have a bunch of mainstream.
Matt, what year was this?
Blake 7 was in the 80s.
It started in the 70s, and I think it went for 4 seasons, right, Matt, or 5? Okay, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I only saw the first 2 episodes. I didn't even know this show existed until people like Neurotic and talked about this series and how awesome it is. I saw the first 2 episodes. Episode 2, I think it's episode 2. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but episode 2, the villain in the episode is Brian Blessed of all actors.
He is. I know he's an early villain. I don't remember his episode 2. It's been a while. Like when you watch it, like I'll binge a whole season. You know what I mean? And then like not watch it for 4 years or something. So
How
it's
would-
kind of hard to like say like which particular episode someone was in, because like there's a whole bunch of scenes of her doing evil shit from 4 years. You know what I mean? That's like just blend in.
How would you grade Blake 7 against The Prisoner, or does it even compare?
Well, to me, The Prisoner is the greatest TV show of all time. So I judge a lot of things against it. I mean, The Prisoner didn't have
love
long
The
enough
Prisoner.
to go to have flaws in it. That's why it was so perfect. I would say if The Prisoner is your 10, this is an 8 or a 9.
Oh wow! Because I've never watched.
Oh.
I've heard about Blake 7 for a long time. I've never watched it, and I need to.
Prisoner's a
You-
great
you-
show. I just think the
point
ending
out,
was a little weird. I thought the
It
ending
is
was kind of
character driven, meaning so you do have to like get into it. Like if you're not, I doubt it will hook you on the very first minute of the first episode because you have to learn all the characters. You know what I mean? And then you follow them through the show, and you're like, holy, as things happen.
I trust Matt's opinion. Matt was the first person I mentioned in one of a Salty stream once about Archer the Fugitive, and Matt's like, "Oh, I have that." And
Oh,
you
God,
shared it with me, and that's most like one of the most obscure B movies you could think of.
I'm
And
always looking for that stuff.
I know.
My childhood, because it's
So,
so much better than the crap we have today.
I know.
It's
I know.
10 times better than the garbage they keep putting out.
Everything I watch is 10, 20 years old right now.
This is an interesting one from Melvin Deeply. Stephen.
Yes,
please,
go,
Stephen.
go.
Wait, one more. There's a comment.
So he
from
brings up
earlier.
a couple of like more obscure, like Overdog, Michael Ironside from Space Hunter. That'd be Space Hunter or was something in the Forbidden Zone.
Space Hunter: The Adventures in the Forbidden
Adventures
Zone.
in the Forbidden Zone.
Yeah,
Mm.
There's also
That
a
is
very
an
interesting
obscure
TV show
film.
called Space Hunter from the 90s.
And then Yul Brenner, the Man in Black from Westworld. See, I
That's a great
don't
choice.
think of Yul Brenner as the villain in that film. I think the organization was the villain, and Yul Brenner was simply a kind of one of the
Malfunction.
ripple effects of that.
Well, yeah, he's the antagonist.
Yeah, it's the antagonist of the film. Yeah.
Well, Roman,
as
but
far as
he's
the
not the
technical-
villain.
when you see that movie
Well,
and you're a child,
Technically, he is. Yeah, but
Well,
yes.
but he yes, but
I mean, I
but-
cheer for the
yes,
beastie
but-
and the thing. Does that nullify the thing? Because I cheer for the creature in some ways. I cheer for Kurt Russell and the creature. That's all I care about.
The thing is the thing. The thing is an evil entity.
I was being facetious.
I am a huge Thing fan. I'm like
I
the
know. Love
Thing
it.
fan.
Love that film.
Then we
Thing.
could do like 7 streams on the Thing, and we'll never be tired of talking about the Thing.
Come on, the best one is 2011. The 2011 thing's the best. Okay.
I don't even know.
Hashtag
What is
Sorg.
this? What is this thing you speak of? Or probably I don't even know what you're talking
The
about.
thing that you know the thing. Come on, man.
Tis not a
Jeez.
thing.
Yeah, it's 1982. There's one film. I have no idea what this other stuff you're talking about. So keep me posted. I mean, there's stuff that it's based on that's in the 1950s, but
Yeah.
no, there's one film.
Oh, Agent Smith from the Matrix. That's actually another good one, Zim. The
Yeah, I
first
considered
Matrix
that one.
was such a good.
Stellar.
There's only one Matrix movie, and
Yes,
I agree. I agree. Just one.
Hashtag true.
I liked
Fact
Reloaded.
check true.
I liked Reloaded.
I-
Evolution's
what ruined-
not that much.
The second one, what ruined the second one was the third one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kept getting worse.
No, because
Well, it did
story-
because you didn't need anything past the first movie.
well, no.
Yes.
Sometimes the one-off is good. Blade Runner. They should have just done one. That other one should have never existed.
The way the first one ends, it doesn't call for a second movie. It's
No,
an
it doesn't.
open-ended
It-
ending.
It's a perfect ending.
Yeah.
It's a perfect ending. You've got him launching off. Rage Against the Machine is playing, and you understand what he's going to do, and that's all you need. You just need that thought in your head of what he is going to accomplish. You don't need the other things because the other things actually brought you down after that cool ending. You thought he's Superman basically, and he's going to change that world. And then you got the other movies, and they just made things really complicated because that's what that kind of thing does. But Agent Smith on his own, the way he spoke, and just his malice and his really hatred of why he was there
Yeah.
was great. And Hugo Weaving was just so good in that part.
I'll never forget when I read the screenplay because they published a screenplay for Matrix, and they used the word billowing in that final shot, describing the way he was flying away with the coat and stuff. And I was like, that's always struck me that they, it's perfect. It's perfect. Let's not mess with a good thing.
Agreed.
Melvin Deeply there shares some thoughts with me on that one. You know, so
No, I think it was evil. I
there's
do. I
another
think it was a bad
concept.
guy, especially based on our conversation around the original material. If you look at the original material, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
But in Carpenter's movie, you can make the case it was inimical, completely incompatible with our life form because of its nature, but not necessarily evil per se.
Yeah.
Just like how if you put a lion in a room with a bunch of 3-year-olds, you know what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
They all become friends and they write songs and it becomes a cartoon. We know how that ends.
Circle of life.
That's right.
Circle of life.
Yeah, don't you remember the song "In the Jungle, the Mighty Jungle"?
The lion
eats the room of
raises the
preschoolers.
3 humans as
lion
as,
eats all the
as
children.
cubs,
That's
and
not
they
one of
grow
the
up to be
lyrics.
lion people. Yes.
No one
that's
ever
what
sings
happens.
that verse.
No, it's like a third, maybe fourth verse of the song. It's one of the forgotten ones. So that got so weird. So Nerdporial, back to you. What do you got for me here for another of the great sci-fi villains?
Well, you already touched on Hal. We talked Khan already. I'm trying to think. Science. So another. I don't want to do another Star Trek thing. We already did Alien. We already did the Alien. How about the guy from have you guys seen Enemy Mine?
Oh yeah, great movie.
Oh,
The
hell
dude
yeah.
at the
That's a
end,
really good
the
movie.
dude that was in Blade Runner, the one android dude that attacks Harrison Ford. Well, he's like the villain of the ship that enslaves
There's
the reptilian race.
government
That guy.
sanctioned.
Oh, you're talking about Leon.
slaver.
Yeah,
Leon is the
yeah.
slaver.
I was so invested in that in him rescuing that kid. I was scared for that kid for Louis Gossett Jr.'s
Trying to find a
kid's,
good picture. Oh,
life.
here he is. Here we go. Here's the guy. Yeah, he was a dick.
This
guy. Look at him.
He's played a lot of. He's been in a lot of movies. This guy. If you'll see, he was in the Road Warrior. He was in that Patrick Swayze did a post-apocalyptic film that was actually better than people would give it credit for.
Well, The Postman.
He played like a future, like a soldier who survived the post-apocalyptic war, was traveling around helping people. That guy's been in a lot of science fiction and horror movies. You know.
Yeah,
But,
the reason why I bring him up and I didn't bring any of the Blade Runner replicants up because I'm not sure if they're villains because you would think maybe Harrison Ford would be more the villain in that regard because they're simply running and he has to terminate them.
But
the villain in Blade Runner is society.
Roy Batty did bad things, and it wasn't just he was on the run. When he went to Tyrell Corporation and he met Tyrell himself, he pushed his thumbs into his skull.
Yeah,
not
even mentioned
because he wanted,
the guy with the eyes.
Yeah, because he wanted
basically froze to death.
Yeah, he wanted his life. I think the reason why he went to Tyrell is because he's like, I want you to.
Well, that's why he
my
went
life
there. But then he kills him in a very horrific way.
Yeah,
and then just gets kind of a look about it, which is bizarre. Rutger Hauer just was such a good actor with that anyway. But he had just a peculiar look about him after the murder of Tyrell. And it was just weird.
And Nas brings up he did kill JF Sebastian. We don't see that. It's heavily implied.
Hinted at, yeah.
Like because they go on the elevator.
It's actually I guess they did film it, but they didn't use it.
Yeah, because they go on the elevator, and then after that, we don't see JF Sebastian anymore. Mm-hmm. So you're like,
right.
He must have.
That
must
cut
be dead.
was probably made to retain some sort of sympathy for Batty as the end of the film approached.
But as the slaver here in Enemy Mine,
that's right, unredeemable. This guy.
I forget if he is a slaver or if I forget what
he's a slaver. They were. Because remember, they slave the I forget there's a derogatory term for they're drac, but they have a slang
I think
toads,
for them. Frogs.
No.
something like that. Something resembling some sort of a toad
Yeah.
or frog reference.
It's not a nice term. It's
Yeah.
not meant to make them feel good about themselves. But you grow up. You grow up. You see the kid grow up, and you worry about, oh, this is, here he is. This is a great scene. You've developed, emotional connections with these characters, and then he turns up.
Because I think what Louis Gossett Jr. Tasked Dennis Quaid was to bring his son to their planet. I forget, for like coming of age, like it's
do
the
the
coming of age
ceremony.
ceremony is that important.
He has to announce all of
Yes, the lineage.
names, his
He has to
lineage.
sing the line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And when he does that, he becomes the first human to bridge the gap, and he becomes like the first ambassador to the world.
Yes.
Because if I remember correctly, like the humanity is pretty much the villain here. It's not this reptilian race, and it gets to a point where he has to sneak out and everything.
So this book here, by Ryan M. Longier, is the collection of novels and novellas that Enemy Mine comes from.
Okay.
It's actually a pretty complex universe. Enemy
Mine.
Mine is the first novella, and then he wrote like 3 novellas.
Wow.
He wrote he wrote like the Holy Book out. He wrote there's like 7 stories in here.
Does it cover the same
There's
characters?
actually stories about the mythology and prehistory of the whole race.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a little more complex than just good guys. He wrote a pretty complex universe. You know what I mean? Like the Drac and human got into their war for stupid reasons, and then people
and they both did equal atrocities to
and
one
then
to
the
the other.
military complexes were manipulating both sides to keep the war going.
Well, most wars are complicated. They're not a simple good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
Some wars
you're right.
would lead you to believe that, but almost no war is that.
And
I'm sorry,
and
I'll
on
do
that
better.
note,
The millennial in me thinks everything is, binary, good versus bad. I'm always right. The entitled millennial that I am.
Well, you are a child. It's not your fault.
I'm the youngling in this. I'm the youngling in this panel. That's what's so funny.
It's just a baby. That's a good choice though, because this movie is complicated, and there are so many good parts of it. Aside from the horrible slavers who are the real bad guy in the movie, the warring races you never really see as the villain or the hero. They just kind of are.
I mean, there's Thomas Sowell wrote a book about the history of slavery in the world, real world. And one of the points to draw from it is, if we're going to encounter aliens, they probably have slavery too, like in their history. You know what I mean? So it just such a sort of animalistic thing that more primitive peoples will do at some point, that it makes sense in a science fiction sense. That's kind of why one of my villains is on this list. If we get to me in the end, that if we ever really encounter other species at some point in their history, they're going to probably have had slavery as well.
All right, let's jump on to, I think it's Daniel. You're next in the lineup, I believe.
I am.
I got us. We're all out of order right now, but I believe Daniel, you are next in the lineup here.
I have a link for you, Roman, that because
excellent.
you have sound, and this one will require sound. And let me paint you a picture. It's 1986, and an 11-year-old Daniel living in Chicago, where Neporial, still a 2-year-old mewling baby, is watching his Saturday morning cartoons and loves the Transformers. And now we go to see in the cinema the movie.
Oh, Lord.
One of my
Transformers, the movie.
my second favorite movie of all time.
It's a
Heartbreaking movie.
Literally a heartbreaking movie, but an excellent movie, and one of the greatest soundtracks. If you ever get yourself the Transformers the movie soundtrack and listen to that,
Stan Bush.
Stan
Bush all the way.
Fantastic. I used to play that music on my motorcycle. I built a stereo system so I could actually blast music on my bike. Yeah. So
Daniel, do you got the touch? Do you have the
Oh yeah. I used to play that while I'm riding around in Chicago.
What the hell is going on?
So fantastic song. So
that was just funny. I'm sorry. I don't know why it struck me as funny as it did.
That's right.
All right,
In
so
Daniel's
throw me away,
universe, we
Daniel.
don't play
It's in the
Born to Be Wild. We play.
Where did you put it, Daniel?
Transformers. was?
Where is it?
Oh, let me see.
I put it
I'm not seeing a link here, bud.
in the studio chat.
It's in
In the private chat.
Oh, it's in the
Private
chat.
Private chat, man.
Oh.
Boomer.
In the
All
in
right.
StreamYard, the thing we're
How do
using.
I? Oh God, Steven, how do I make this work? If I hit this, what happens? And does it actually show? I don't know what I'm doing. Hang on.
You should
hang
be able
on.
to
You need
just
click from
copy
the
it,
movie?
Roman. Copy the link.
Yeah.
You just be able to just
Open up another
copy
window.
and paste it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got to open up a window. Okay. Sorry. Look, oh God damn it.
Part of
It's
the
all
joy.
right. I understand, Roman. You've already revealed that you hate the Fifth Element. I trust that you have problems already. So, it's all
All right,
understandable.
I think I've got it. Hang on. Sorry. I don't do well when I have to manipulate from one computer. I have 3 computers out here that I use for this freaking show.
This is
Just
why
think
I,
of your secretary.
this is
Is
why
this-
I share
this
links
is it,
with
right?
you, Roman. Yeah, I share links with you
Okay.
for this experience, and you can
Is it so you can watch me explode?
You can-
That's
you
not
can-
kind, Daniel.
you can click
We've
the
worked
X.
so well together in the past.
click the X on that stupid ad, Roman. Get rid of that stupid ad.
I thought- Actually, I use NCH. That's my video cutting software. that I use.
That's why it's there. Here we go. Is the volume working? Oh, I guess not.
Can you hear?
No. What a shame.
You can't hear?
We can't.
No, I can do it for you.
Function.
So
I
but
saw-
I don't
No
know.
one summoned Megatron. Did it
I
please
was-
to be the first?
I was hoping we can get the audio to work because
Wait, you're not getting any.
Oh,
You're not getting any
no,
sound.
We should not get any sound on this. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
just
I
don't,
do
not recommend
I'm supposed to
that.
be sharing
Oh, I can
sound.
tell you the dialogue. At one point, I could have done the whole movie.
Hang on, let me see. Let me take this thing out and then try to do it again. I thought I did this so that I could have.
we've done it before.
I know we have. Oh no. Mute screen audio, unmute screen audio. Okay, we're gonna see what happens here. Let me know if this worked. Yes.
No.
Nope.
No.
Mother dick.
Oh well. Anyway, so
Ironically, Orson Welles' last role.
this is Orson Welles' last role, and he voices Unicron.
Oh,
And this scene that I picked specifically so that we could listen to it
I'm sorry.
is
Do you want me
Dang
to
it.
give you a scene you could probably hear?
well.
I don't know why we can't hear it. I don't understand why it's not working.
That's a
because
technical
I'm
thing.
bad at this. That's
I'll
probably why
just-
it's not working.
I'll just describe what happens basically. But so we have here Megatron, who is for 2 years the big bad in Transformers, one of the most popular cartoons, and the nemesis of Optimus Prime, the leader of the Decepticons. Frank Welker voiced, famous cartoon villain. And then we're introduced to Megatron, who is a planet-sized monster. And there is there it works.
Here, I'll take
Hey,
it back to the
Frank
beginning.
Welker.
Here. Sorry, I'm sorry. You guys are gonna have to forgive me. Like I said, I'm very old.
Oh, just skip to like 39 seconds.
39 seconds.
Listen to this sound, the soundtrack. Dun, 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 dun. I
Yeah.
love this.
Yourself. I have summoned you here for a purpose.
Hey, it's Orson Welles.
He summons Megatron. Then it pleases me to be the first.
You have to pause it. They're gonna flag that. It's getting too long.
Why? It's another
What's
YouTube
up?
video.
What's
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's a YouTube video or
so
not.
what is
They'll
this
still
tangerine
flag
looking
stuff, bro. I'm
thing,
telling
Daniel?
you.
Really?
Yeah, they suck. So Daniel, what is the tangerine looking thing that's about to
That's
blast
Unicron.
Megatron?
That's
What?
That's Unicron's mouth.
Unicron.
So this
the
entire-
devil of the devil of the Transformers universe.
Yeah, he's basically a moon. He's a giant god transformer who's the size of a moon and devours planets. He's
So
basically
if I see my doctor and he says I have a Unicron,
that's
Now,
bad.
it's a little joke.
Roman,
I'm sorry.
and for the general audience watching this, Unicron in the Transformers universe is roughly equivalent to Galactus in
Yeah.
the Marvel universe.
Okay, got it. I never really watched the Transformers,
So
this is all a mystery to me.
there is
You are to destroy the Autobot matrix of leadership. It is the one thing, the only thing that can stand in my way.
oh, wait.
He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's
Well, he
bad.
wants to eat the whole universe.
So this right here at this is another link. This is I played.
Oh God,
this
damn
one.
it, Daniel!
This is a better taste. I just wanted us to hear his voice, but this
I mean,
here.
the premise is that Primus, the sort of creator god, trapped Unicron in a physical form.
I want to
And
give
yet
you.
he's eating stuff to
I want
regain his
to. I
power.
want to give you the actual visual of why Unicron
All right,
is as
see
evil
if I can.
as he
Here, I'm
is.
gonna take this thing off. Yes, I know. I hear you out there saying, "What's wrong with the old man?" I understand. I know.
Hey, you're doing great, man. You got a lot of things
Every
going
time you
on.
scowl at one of those fancy dancy computers, you get another subscriber.
I think did it work? It doesn't look like it worked. Why did it not work? Oh, because I'm hitting the wrong keyboard. That's why. See, it's not actually
Welcome
funny.
to my world.
No, what the fuck? Why isn't that doing anything?
Make
Oh,
the
there it goes.
Roman, make the hamster run.
No, that's
fast.
the wrong thing. No, I did the wrong thing. Now I have the same link again.
Sorry, Robin. I don't know why it's so difficult.
One day at a time.
All right, hang on. Oh, there. Okay. Oh, pause. I'm trying to
Want
copy
me
the
to-
thing out. There,
Want me to
copy.
share his link so you can just share the screen?
And now
All right.
I'm pasting.
I think he's got it. You know.
And now I'm doing. That's not it at all. What is that? Oh no, something went wrong. Oh, I didn't even know what the hell that is. Oh God. It's not.
Houston?
funny. Oh no,
We
no,
have a
no,
problem.
no.
That's
Hang on.
being
I thought I was doing all right. Now I'm not doing all right. Copy. You slide over here. You hit paste.
This new technology.
There
is
it goes.
so complicated.
There it goes. I got it. Okay.
And here we
Anyone
go.
waiting for Rowan to open like an AOL chat room or something? That's exactly what
No,
I'm
no,
waiting for.
pretty
like an
much.
AOL chat
Leave it
room
at
pops
20.
open.
That is so not funny.
You've got link.
Roman, leave it at 20 seconds.
You've got mail.
What's that,
I
Daniel?
can put it at 20 seconds. I sent you 20 seconds on purpose.
Oh, I don't look. I don't know how to do that.
Right there. Stop right there.
There you go.
Play from right there. Yeah.
So this is our introduction to Unicron, and again, the music is so ominous. The way that they drew him is fantastic.
Is this from the same feature?
This is from
Yes.
the movie. This is how the movie opens. This is literally the very beginning. of the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Since then, this is the older version of it. They've remastered this several times in
Yeah.
4K.
So now we see this planet, and now I want to make this clear. Transformers, right? It's a Saturday morning cartoon. This is a planet of sentient beings. Think of it that way, as instead of just robots. This is a planet of people going about their daily lives, shopping, doing things, kids running around playing, and we keep on going.
Do you know, before you play it, do you know why they're robots and not people? Because they needed to be.
I know.
That they theoretically, the Unicron is a planet full of regular people.
Yeah,
too.
they couldn't have made
couldn't
that.
show that,
cartoon.
though.
They couldn't show that. Yeah. So then go ahead and play.
Marvelous! Look, it's Unicron.
They know who it is, though.
Oh, yeah, they knew what's coming. This is like, it's basically the harbinger of doom. And
Oh wow.
look at this.
Yep. Yum.
And he eats even them too. Like there's a processing system inside for them.
They show it. They show everything in this movie. This movie is terrifying if you're a kid. You're an 11-year-old kid watching this and going, what am I seeing?
Wow. Yeah, that.
I
it's-
love the
yeah,
way
they're-
the color palette just keeps transforming
Yes.
during the course of the sequence, where it just gets darker and more saturated. And
And
Man.
like I said, this is the dirty version of
They
the
try
film.
to escape in ships and they get sucked back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
this is
literally
like a
watching.
robot equivalent of a black hole.
Yeah, you're watching them digested in his innards.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
There's
then
more.
it's-
They'll show
it's-
more.
It's charging, and it's about to end. It's we can go back. Basically,
Okay.
yeah, right here. This is the end of it. So he's digesting. He's charging his systems, and now his power turns on, and now he's full, and that's it. You can stop.
Yep.
It. So like
Wow.
the movie begins with Unicron eating a planet full of sentient beings. MCU hasn't been able to do this with Galactus.
Not
but
true.
they
They
did it
could,
in
but they
1986 with the Transformers cartoon.
Yeah.
And Orson Welles voicing Unicron, and that other previous scene is what we see is we see Megatron, who used to be the big bad, totally dominated by Unicron, and Unicron puts him in his place, tells him who's boss,
And
threatens his
transforms
life,
him.
transforms
Galvatron.
him, and turns him into a slave, and basically says, "You're my bitch now."
Yep.
And that is again my definition of a true villain. And in just this scene in this movie, and he went into the cartoon. They had him in the cartoon, but it's not even as meaningful. This movie defined Unicron for like a generation, and he is just a force to be reckoned with. And he's got an amazing design. Later in the movie, he literally transforms from his moon size into a giant humanoid robot, and he attacks the planet Cybertron, which is the Transformers homeworld. And the Transformers, both the Decepticons and the Autobots, group together to fight Unicron as he's like clawing their planet. He's slamming his hand into their planet. It's an amazing end to the movie, and he's just this colossal force of evil. And he's definitely evil because, like Matt said, he is like the embodiment in the Transformers world, like basically the god of evil and destruction.
Yeah. So to explain it briefly,
Roman, you're not familiar with this film?
All
Not at
the
I don't know the Transformers. It wasn't something I followed as a kid because remember they came out. I was a bit older when Transformers came out, and they just never really grabbed me as a franchise. I mean, it just is. I know.
So there've been a lot of Transformers series since then, and to explain the Transformers continuity, in the beginning before time, there was Primus and there was Unicron, right? Primus and Unicron fought because Primus wanted to create stuff and Unicron wanted to eat it, but to keep it simple. Okay. Primus ripped Unicron apart, took his energy away, and then he created a whole bunch of universes to be a creator. And then he put pieces of Unicron in every universe, and Unicron is trying to consume his energy back to become like the counter to God again, so to speak. So that's why we've watched all the different Transformers shows. That's how they relate in Transformers continuity.
I love Beast Wars.
Beast Wars occurs in the same. It's a prequel. It's a prequel to the original Transformers show.
Yeah, it takes place because I believe the very first 5 minutes of the first episode of Transformers, the original series, takes place like millions of years before humanity.
Well, no.
And then they crash, and they're crashed for like a million something years. So in between that time, that's when we get the Maximals and the Predacons. They get to go through that time warp, and they're in an era in between when the Autobots crashed on Earth. And and then of course, so you get to see their crashed ships, the Ark and the what was the other one? The Ark and the
Ark and Megatron ship.
The lore is strong with these
the
two.
Nemesis.
The Nemesis. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Everyone in chat just wants to know when John Cena shows up. That's all they want to know.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Who? Star-Lord, man. Star-Lord.
I'm still into the original Transformers, but not all the sort of alternate Transformers out there anymore because they went way too far with it. How many different versions of these characters are, and those abominable movies that came out.
Daniel, that was an epic contribution to the list.
And if I had to recommend, because you could watch Transformers like crazy. If I had to recommend, just watch the movie Transformers the movie. It's
Indeed.
great.
Talk about a great entry point.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know who plays Galvatron? Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy.
A lot of big names in it, Roman. You should. I mean, I really would recommend it. And you saw some of the artwork is very well done. It's much better than the cartoon.
And I'm sure your son probably knows the property a bit, and the feature-length film is actually an interesting thing to watch as far as pop culture is concerned.
Yes.
It's something you should at least take a peek
that
at.
was never one of his things growing up. He was a
As Matt said, it's been remastered.
But
It's been remastered and been released in theaters in 4K. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Roman, you see Autobots, you see robots getting gunned to death in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie is not a children's movie by any stretch.
Yeah.
So it's very different.
Kids crying.
I remember that
Kids
80s
crying.
series that's all I remember really.
Yeah.
And I may have seen a Transformers film, but it wasn't my bag, baby. So
Some
I mean, the
bad
animation in
typing.
this does look very good, though, and I do like the idea of things actually dying. So, moving on from
Wow.
that, I think we're back at Pops.
You are, and I'm on the clock, so I'll have to dip out here.
Oh, okay.
To
I'm
be able
sorry.
to take it
Yeah, hit
before
us,
I
hit
take
us,
a
hit us,
nap.
hit us.
You're fine. So I'm going to just throw
Good.
Cylons out there.
Oh,
I'm actually
heavens, yes.
I'm OG with Cylons. Like they were just like one among those first toys that you get in that era, and
the
just
original
super
Cylons.
cool design, the sound, the motion, just love everything about it. And I will also say I'm not adverse to the remastered version of Cylons in the new show, in large part because it's something my wife also watched with me. So it was like a great way to have sci-fi bonding time and be able to watch something that basically is kind of like, normal TV drama surrounded in this nice envelope of sci-fi content that was retro to my younger years. So the Cylons were so iconic, and to me, the design of the old ones are just still to this day. I'm sort of like in awe of it all. I really am. So
Pops,
I'm not going to pretend to be a Battlestar and super nerd, but I love it all. So
I have a question for you because I watched it as a kid and I loved the original Cylons,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
there weren't enough of them on the new version of the remake of the show. I never saw them on
Mhm.
screen, and that
Right.
bothered me so much that I didn't really watch the new
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica because I never saw the Cylons and I wanted to see them.
Well, you saw them, but you didn't see the mechanic Cylons. You saw the humanized.
I don't want to see humanized Cylons. I want to
know,
see
right?
this.
How ironic is that?
I want to see this. That drove me nuts. I know it's a popular show and everyone loves the damn show, but this is what I wanted to see.
There's a hater right here.
Yeah.
Hater. So.
I didn't
Yeah.
watch it.
No,
I
listen.
it.
I totally understand, and I think once they got to the infiltration concept of it all, and then they try to tie in the original series as part of the lore of we're almost like through history repeating itself,
Yes.
sort of thing. It sort of like worked enough for me, and like I said, I totally confess that I don't hold it to the same level because of what the first one was like. I mean, it's just there's something so special about it, especially living in that time frame. It's kind of like Logan's Run too. It's like when you grow up and you're watching Logan's Run.
That's a movie.
And then the TV show of it, even the thought of them touching it, it's like you guys realize there's no chance that you're going to make me like happy. Like you're just not going to be able to. It's just something special. But no, look, Daniel, I totally. Yeah.
See, I actually like. Daniel's going to hate me though. I actually like New Galactica better than original Galactica.
Of course you do.
Words.
I thought the story building was better. But you can't have New Galactica without Old Galactica. And that classic Cylon design and the dome ship with the 3 Cylons in it. I mean, those are iconic images. And the voices were all, that same kind of thing. When you had that attack on Capria at the beginning of the first episode, these were all great things. And they were, and the thing that's different about these Cylons than the humanized versions is it's a lot like HAL 9000.
Mm-hmm.
It's a detached kind of killing machine.
One of the original episodes, one of the original series episodes, they mentioned, I believe, that the original actual biological Cylons were reptilian.
Yes.
And then they built these, and these wiped them out, essentially.
The reptilian humanoids abused them. And then for some reason the Cylons rebelled and killed them off and decided they were going to kill all the humanoids in the universe.
Right.
And then that started the 1,000-Year War. And the only thing stopping the Cylons from wiping out all human life in the universe was the 13 colonies suppressing the Cylons for 1,000 years.
This is a great pick, Pops. Yeah, the Cylons are iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just something that to me, I know. Look, Daniel, and I definitely want to make sure I'm clear too. I totally empathize with sort of like someone that even remotely grew up around the original series, not wanting to deal with the new one. But I also agree with Roman that I really liked the story building elements of it. And again, there's a financial reason. We're talking about like a sci-fi network product. It's not like it was a big budget, big corporation thing. It was a sci-fi channel. And for them, that was big budget. And then to figure out a way to incorporate something that could work within the mythology, I thought was pretty good. So other than the season where they basically are like, we're not in space anymore, we're stuck on the planet. That to me is like
that was a rough season. That one was
That's
rough
when
to
I
get
checked
through.
out. I was like, this is the. Can we get to skip this and go back? You know,
I think I
you
I
know.
chimed into your stream on this. It was like I also didn't like the end. I
Mhm.
thought the end was
Well, yeah.
real. Hey,
Metaphysical, smell your own fart stuff. Yeah,
I
I
got-
don't.
I
yeah,
got-
that was
Yeah, I don't like it.
self-aggrandizing crap.
Yes,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
lost vibes from the. I've read up on the end and watched a lot
Oh,
of
that's
people
yeah,
talk
that's a
about
good.
it.
That's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
That's a really nice idea.
Very similar response is exactly what it is. It's like they think they're smarter than they are. They try to be clever. They've written themselves into a corner and all of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I do have to
Ironically,
dip
try
out,
to-
only take a nap.
Pops,
'Cause I
thank
have
you
more
so
videos to
much.
do.
You got any shill you wanna run? Anything you want to yell at the audience?
No, listen, if you remotely want to just check out stuff, you can do the YouTube thing and then just do @pops and they'll pop up now. So thank you for YouTube for giving me a handle. That was pretty cool.
Sweet.
No, I'm off for a week, but I'm trying to record videos to try to get some stuff to populate while I'm going to take some time off for a week. But no, I appreciate being here. Great. I mean, obviously I'm following all you guys and listening to different content and things like that. It's great to be part of this, growing, faction of creators. It's just awesome, man. And you guys, thank you so much for inviting me and including me and hanging out. So been great. Thank you.
No, thank you for showing up tonight and being here and being part of our weird little universe. Yeah, please go check out Pops if you haven't. Just lots of really good content. Everyone on the panel has good stuff. So if they're here, they're here because they bring something unique to our weird little our fandom, our the things that we all love. And it's also nice to have someone of my own age in the panel. So
yeah, Pops
hashtag a fire. Yeah.
True comic book nerd. He brings the real chat when it comes to the comic book universe and the comic book collecting universe as well. There's some definite earmarks to his conversation. He's talks to Stone Loki and Ironcaster. They do a show called Talk Hard, and they get into some pretty good stuff. A lot of interesting topics. So go check them out.
We're going to come back.
Already.
Our first show back will be on November 29th. We'll be back on that Tuesday. So it's on Tuesdays at 5:30 Eastern time. We're doing Santa's Sleigh, and then we're doing Fat Man. So that's our Christmas theme that we're going with on Talk Hard to give you an idea of how we're just a little bit off normal. But lots of comic book content. People are requesting more comic book content. I did meet Gary at the meetup, and I said, "Well, thanks for getting big and busy." So now you've kind of thrown all of that my direction. People constantly are asking me questions, things like that. So I can't even keep up trying to reread things to make sure that I'm being, thorough.
It's tough.
People. So, yeah, it's just a lot.
You're having to mind search all the things from 1974.
But if you guys are looking for something that's actually pretty good, by the way, I did watch this first episode that dropped of this Tulsa King today. The Cy Stallone is a mafioso. He gets sent to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Paramount, I think is what it's on. But I think it's on network
it's on
TV
Paramount,
too.
Yeah, bada bing.
It's actually really good. It's done by the guys that did Soprano and Boardwalk Empire, so it's no surprise that it's good. But it was real. Him pulling off that was the thing for me. I'm like, I don't know. He did a great. It was fun. I want another episode. Let's see how it goes. I'm really good. I hope
it's better than Samaritan because I watched that with high hopes.
No, Samaritan was mediocre at best.
Very,
It was very generic. I did not like it.
I like Samaritan and dislike Tulsa King.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well,
maybe
we'll have that conversation another time. No problem. So anyway, thanks again, guys. I got to try to get a nap in and get some videos done. And, I'll try to fit you anytime we can. Hit me up. Let me know when we do something else. I'm good. I want to be there. It's about juggling everything. As you guys know, time is our biggest enemy. So
keep fighting a good fight, Pops.
You guys take care. Have a good weekend and stuff.
Take care.
See you.
Night.
Well, that's awesome. He's just another great creator here in our strange little verse
from the free world of Florida as well. So
that's why it's late where he is. Well, it's late. It's like 10 o'clock. All right, so
Matt,
I messed this up last time. Yes, Matt. Okay, Matt.
Well, we missed Steven then.
No. I will hold off. Let's give Matt.
We'll go Matt,
Steven this one because we
we'll
almost passed over him
out
last
after
time.
that, though.
So
cheers.
Just one brief thing on New Battlestar Galactica. As much as I despise most of the show, the first episode 33 is the best TV show episode of any TV show episode of anything ever, singular. So
Which one is which? Which
33? It's the
33?
first episode of the first season.
Yeah.
Is that where we actually see the real Cylon, right? When it walks into
Well, it's just the way they
Oh,
paced it.
I love that.
It's the way
That
they
scene is
paced it with
fucking great.
the countdown and the tension and
Yes.
and then to me after the show went all downhill after that, I was like constantly like wanting to wring Ronald Moore's neck for that show, the betrayal of Battlestar Galactica that became. But anyway, on to my okay, so this is probably the last one. I could go one or two ways with this, so I'm gonna I'll share a wiki page here. So this is a whole bunch of set of settings, a bunch of books someone could read. So if you're looking for something new to read, you like military science fiction, my villain comes from this, David Weber's Honorverse. So the first book was On Basilisk Station. David Weber is the author. There have been like 15 main sequence books, 2 or 3 side series, plus a lot of the other authors from Baen Books write books in the universe with him. So there's plenty to read. If you're looking for something to read, you like military sci-fi, and like techno sci-fi span, so to speak, this is the thing for you. Okay.
What's the premise, Matt?
So the premise, well, the first character we follow is Honor Harrington. She has some genetic engineering like all the people in that future do. She's a military graduate. She gets command of her first spaceship, and she's put into an impossible situation, a mission that she's sort of expected to die on. Like no one expects her to succeed as well as she does. Okay, and it's called On Basilisk Station. Okay, and then after that it goes on. So now I'm slightly spoiling this to talk about the villain of the series, but if you're not going to read all the books, I'll tell you about the villain. So this occurs after what we call the Great Diaspora in the universe, when humanity invented FTL and dispersed throughout the galaxies and discovered wormholes, so no central government could contain humanity and trap them anymore, so to speak, right? And then this is thousands and tens of thousands of years later, right? So Earth doesn't matter. The original human government, the Solarian Empire, Solarian whatever it's called, is centered on Earth, and they're steadily expanding, kind of like the Borg. But there's all sorts of star kingdoms and federations and a lot of stuff. It's a diverse universe. Is the point I'm getting at, right? So we come to the time period of the characters, right? And a series of wars break out. There's like the Star Kingdom of Manticore and the Republic of Haven, which is basically Space Britain and Space Communist Russia, to use your parallel, are having for some reason, even though space is infinite and they have infinite demand, they're being driven to a conflict. And he layers it on early on. There's something going on, right? So he builds it over the course of books, right? Now, one of the things this universe deals with, and we talked about it off camera, is the concept of runaway technology and the enslavement of humans. Okay, so parts of this universe have legalized what's called genetic slavery, where humans who aren't freeborn, who are bred to be servants, it's okay to enslave them in certain places.
Can I cut in really quickly? Sorry, Matt. Just want to let you guys know I have to hop out. I have another stream I got to prepare for. So
got it, bud.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
was going to stop Matt
me.
before we got too deep, but yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
By the way, what was that? I was kind of late to what your thing. So what story, what book series is this again?
David Weber, it's his Honorverse. If you go to this page, I link there. It'll lead you to all of it. The first book is called On Basilisk Station.
Okay, cool. All right.
That's the first book he wrote, and then there's prequels, sequels, side stories. It's a big universe. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, thanks, Matt. Roman, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming again. Thanks for being on the channel again, Pearl. It's always good to see you, and you have like you're on all the time, and it's always fun to watch you.
I appreciate that. I'm going to be on Steve's stream. We're going to be live watching The Peripheral. And last week's episode, oh my God, that was
I'm only on episode 2, and I've heard it went off the rails on episode 5. And so now I'm waiting for you guys to tell me that it's back, so I know if I need to finish it or not.
Well, the episode was called "What About Bob," and I should have realized right away. Like Bob was an assassin that turned out to be incompetent, despite the fact that he is well established to be an assassin, like a real assassin. So I'm just saying that I'm being
All right.
in the bush. So
Well, let me know if it's worth coming back after this episode because it's a limited run, I think. Or
eight episodes,
episodes,
and
okay.
then I think they're going to do like multiple seasons. I have no idea. So
Well, if it's worth it, I like the concept. The concept of the show is really good. I enjoyed
agree.
episode 1 and episode 2 a lot, and so that's why when I heard episode 5 went this way, I was like, no.
Yeah, Amazon and source material just I don't know what's
I know
with that.
they're
Crazy.
hot and they're cold. They're hot and they're cold.
Yeah. So all right, but everybody take care and
all right,
subscribe,
bud.
subscribe if you haven't. They're Poreal. There you go. Take care.
Have a good night, Admiral.
Admporial.
Adporial.
All right, Matt, get back into your weird world.
So this genetic slavery, the main corporation that profits of that's called Manpower, and they're on a world called Misa. So now again, you learn this stuff over the course of like 10 or 15 books, right? It's a slow build. So over the course of these books, these wars keep breaking out for no logical reason in some cases, right? And also the Solarian League, for some reason, is completely bureaucracy bound and becoming like very destructive and absorptive of certain star nations and independent planets and whatever. I'm grossly oversimplifying it to get to the villain, okay? So as it turns out, the Meeson alignment, who was the group of Meesons behind the Meeson government and Manpower, they have been manipulating the universe for centuries. They have super technology, genetic engineering, nanotechnology, because they want to basically be the slave masters of the universe. So what they've been doing is manipulating these governments to wipe each other out. They've been manipulating the Solarians, which was once a great democratic and powerful nation, to basically Borg-like absorb and destroy. Like they would take a local planet in, and in the past that would be a good thing. They'd get medicine and whatever. Well, now what happens is the Solarians just exploit their economy, completely obliterate it, wreck any advancement they make, and the Meesons have been using them to target and take out worlds that are resistance to slavery. You know, so now we're still in the point where the Meesons have now come out on purpose. They've done things like engineer nuclear war that's killed billions of people on planets, caused ships to crash into planets, and tried to blame other governments for it. And they're a great villain because they very effectively, from the writing, manipulated all these governments that thought they knew better, that thought they had it going on. They manipulated them for centuries and almost on the verge of winning and almost winning. And only now is some people becoming aware of them, you know? So that's why I nominated the Meesons. And they're very reflective of trends in technology today with the way corporations are trying to take over our lives.
So it's almost like what's going on right now.
All this sounds vaguely familiar.
Baen Books, Baen, their authors tend to be more centrist and right-leaning. Like no sissy liberals over there.
I've heard most military writing is typically that way. Most of the military fiction.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's like it's at the brink. It's almost over, and then people are waking up to what's actually going on.
Well, so we're now at the point where the Solarian League is going to collapse, and this huge intergalactic civil war is going to break out, which the Meesons intend to profit on.
And Honor Harrington is the commander, or she
starts out as the main character and the captain of a ship. She eventually becomes an admiral and all this. Like she advances her career. And he was, well, spoilers, he was planning on killing her off in the 8th book because he wanted the series to be about other characters. And eventually, 4 or 5 books later, to a time it's going to be about our son coming up in the ranks, you know. But he decided he would just sideline her and have her be an occasional main character while other characters step to the forefront in the books. He didn't want her to be he wanted the setting to be the hero, not you know.
I remember seeing these on the bookshelves. I've never read one, but I remember seeing it, and I always thought it was literally the Honor Harrington book series.
Well, the main series is the Honors. That's why it's called the Honorverse.
Right.
There's about 10 books where she's the main character. Okay, but then there's this. While he's doing that, other authors write prequels and side stories, and then eventually she kind of becomes one of the main characters after some injuries happen and whatnot, and like her and her husband become co-main characters, and then it's complicated. I'm not.
It's like Arthur Conan Doyle who couldn't kill off Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He literally says she didn't deserve to be killed off just to not be the main character.
Yeah. You can't kill your main character because you're bored.
Yeah. He said he retired her. So
Yeah.
So she'll show up and save the day sometimes, but she's not going to be the main character, you know?
Would you compare these books to more is this
It's
more?
It's hard military science fiction,
Okay,
but
that's what I
not
wanted to
ultra hard, like not realistic science fiction, meaning like there's deliberate cause and effect. In fact, if you don't like the description of how the missile swarms hit people, this isn't the series for you, right? I mean, well, you know it from the Navy. I mean, what did you do in the Navy? What exactly were you a gunnery in some capacity or?
Nah, man, I was in charge of fixing helicopters.
Okay, so I have actual experience because one of the things I did as a side job when I was a teenager was help one of my fraternity brothers for his day job simulate nuclear missile strikes at sea. Okay, so I kind of understand how some of this works, right? So on a naval vessel, you know, if you fire at another naval vessel, you don't shoot where it is, you shoot where it's going to be.
Where it's going to be, yeah.
Yeah. So in space, when these missiles are traveling 75% the speed of light and you're light seconds apart, and especially early when they don't have FTL scanning capability, you have to say, okay, we detected them at this point based on their velocity type of vessel. They can only be in this particular area. Let's shoot 100,000 missiles over there, right? And you know, based on the trajectory, if the enemy didn't counter predict you, they're dead, unless their ships can resist your swarm with the defenses or whatever.
Right.
Like on a naval vessel, when the missiles come in, all the guns open fire to try to take out the. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a great not that the movie itself is great, but that Battleship movie, which is okay. That movie Battleship. Do you remember how the aliens attacked and was stuck in the dome?
I did not watch Battleship.
Okay, it's not a great movie. It's fun, but not great. But you see the sort of like the way the ships work. Like they have the old battleship, but the aliens are using alien machine guns to stop the rounds from coming in, and you know, or what's another good? Anyway, point I'm getting at.
Well, it's like the Iron Dome in Israel.
The what?
The Iron Dome in Israel.
But I'm trying to think
it's a missile defense system. It's guns that blast missiles as they're coming towards Israel.
Well, Tom Clancy. If you read Tom Clancy novels and liked them and liked military, like science fiction, it's like Tom Clancy in space.
That's what I was wondering. If this is closer to Clancy, because I was wondering if you read.
No. Namor.
I was wondering if you had read either Jack Campbell's Lost Fleet, and you probably read The Expanse. And if this was close to either of those, or more close to what you just said.
I've read the first 2 books of The Expanse. There's only so many minutes in life to actually read things. It's like,
yeah,
you know, I at this point my book list of things to read is longer than I have time to live. You know, so
yeah.
I have 700 books I want to read. I doubt I'm going to live that long. You know,
I was wondering how this compares in those, like, because this sounds more on the military end than on the sci-fi end.
Well, there's politics too. If you remember, did you read have you read the Jack Ryan books?
No.
Well, okay. I'm not going to say have you seen the movies, but you've seen like at least Hunt for October and whatnot, the early movies, right?
Yeah.
Well, Hunt for October and Patriot Game, the 2 good ones, Hunt for October and Patriot Game.
Shield Wall.
The novels are fairly close to those structurally, if not plot wise.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Or I'm trying to think what people would have seen or read that more mainstream.
I think the comparison to Tom Clancy is pretty.
Did anyone watch The Last Ship?
No.
Yeah,
I'm
familiar with that.
I know it exists.
That structural of military action and military science and military logic.
Yeah.
Whether it's realistic or not is another thing, but obviously it's science fiction. It can't be too realistic. But the point is, you know, the military acts in a semi-military fashion. They calculate volleys and you know, Horatio Hornblower.
Right. So this is getting to
that
the
I can
whole.
relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or some people call this Horatio Hornblower in space. Considering Honor Harrington, Horatio Hornblower, she's basically named after him. That should give you a clue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. That sounds really good. All right, so Steve?
Yes.
I think you're up.
This is funny. Roman, look at the look, like his icon looking at Steven, the way they looked.
Yeah, Daniel, that is definitely a new look for you.
That's actually a drawing, a self-portrait I did of myself.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Yeah.
But
Let's
the
have
look
a
you're
full
giving
screen. Can we
Steven
do
is
a full
Steven with
screen
his
on that
smirk,
one?
you know?
It is the look that you're giving Steven that is the problem right now.
Look, I look at Steven with puppy dog eyes all the time. This is normal.
Be careful, Nosferatu might get a little jealous. There might be a little bada bing, bada boom going on there.
Oh,
for him.
heavens to Murgatroyd. All right, Steven, what do you got?
I've got Mr. Clance Bodiger from RoboCop.
Oh
From
God.
the 1987
RoboCop.
RoboCop movie.
Yes.
If
You mean the dad from That 70 Show?
that's right. That's right. Mr. Kurtwood Smith
Yes.
as Clance Bodiger.
That's a great movie. I like the original RoboCop for just so many reasons.
Oh,
Here we go.
the
The 4K
tongue-in-cheek
remastered did
lampooning of media in general,
No, it
of
was
a
a great movie.
sci-fi-driven corporate world that owns the police basically to dismantle them and discredit them. And Clance Bodiger, as a holy spoiler alert, hired by a corporation to interrupt things so they have an excuse to fund militarized projects.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this show is just off the hook. This whole
That's
movie
funny.
is predictive. But Clance Bodiger's callous, psychopathic nature in basically starting the whole storyline because he wipes out this young police officer is probably the most brutal criminal attack on a police officer, with the exception of like Scarface.
No, because he's just fucking with him. He's fucking with him through the whole thing, and while he's killing him,
They had to
that's
keep
terrible.
cutting that scene down again and again to get it to an R rating.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Is
I
there
can imagine.
Is there an
Okay,
original
fine.
cut of that?
Well, I just mentioned if you
Oh,
get
I know. I'd love to
the
see it.
remastered version that just came out, which I have, you can get the whole scene.
Oh man, you are just a gold mine.
Hey, look, I'm disabled, living at home. I am not going to deny myself the simple pleasures in life, like someone being gunned down for 5 minutes in RoboCop. You know, it's like,
Yeah, the squib scene with the Ed 2000. What's it called?
Oh my God! Yeah, with Ed 209
Ed209?
blowing away
Yeah.
that poor corporate
Oh
assistant.
my
Good God.
gosh, they must have used 1,000 squibs. But the Murphy scene in the beginning that you're talking about is just epic.
Oh, they're teasing him. They go, does it hurt? Does it
Yeah.
hurt? It's like, oh my God! It's wow. Yeah,
It's a terrible scene.
No, that's true evil on screen right there, and he's got the look of a villain. He's one of those actors who that's like, I don't know what other role he could play.
Yeah, it's I remember the young actors, when they found out who the dad was going to be when they got hired for That 70s Show, they were all terrified. Absolutely terrified of this guy, because they had all seen this movie, right? So they're like, "Oh my God, that's your dad in the show?" You're like, "I know, right?"
Oh, look at the way they wrote him on the show. He's basically
He was
terrifying
great on the
still.
show.
Yeah, he was hard nosed,
well,
but
you know who he did play? You wouldn't recognize him. He played the Federation president in Star Trek 6.
yeah, I know,
Yes.
I know.
That
Talk
was
about playing out of type.
Yeah.
But Clarence has got some other epic scenes. With the one shot with the grenade, he slides that disc in there so that Dick Jones can tell this guy that he's basically dead. You're done for, man. You never should have screwed around with me. You never should have made the RoboCop. You're done for. And Clarence Bodiger like pulls out a grenade and with his tongue pulls the pin out. I mean, this is classic wicked villain on screen. If he wasn't so hairless, he would be able to twist his own mustache. I mean, this is classic villain.
Well, he's played a lot of villains. He played. I wish no Pearl because he would remember this. In that the one of the really good episodes of Voyager, The Year in Hell, he played the villain in that, with the one where they had the species that was like constantly wiping out time.
Yes, he was the time guy that was destroying
Yeah.
complete species and entire sectors of space and rewriting them just to get his wife back.
Yeah.
And he's not a physically imposing guy.
No, it's his presence. His presence.
Right.
Yep. Delivery. That's what that's all about. Yeah.
Right. He uses what he has. That's a great actor. He uses what they have, and they just excel at it. Kind of like when we mentioned Ricardo Montalban.
There's been a bunch
Yes.
of stuff. I'm just trying to remember everything he did. He just appears all over the damn place.
No, he was in a million things.
Or,
He was one of those
Yeah,
actors who acted.
And Clarence Bodiger is, I remember, this is all before cyberpunk is really even a thing.
yeah.
But if you take a look at the cyberpunk worlds that have been generated since this movie, Clarence Bodiger basically goes to his boss and says, you know what? I need some military class bang bangs. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he brings like 2 anti-tank rifles to a gang fight.
Right.
Yes.
You know, this is cyberpunk with a vengeance, man.
So
He's tracking the police with a tracking device. This is serious cyberpunk. People look back on RoboCop and the young people are startled that this thing has so many tropes built into it.
You've got me excited to watch RoboCop again. It's been too long.
I haven't seen
the
this
spoilers
movie
in the
in
chat.
years.
There he is.
You remember
Yeah.
this guy? from RoboCop.
Also,
Oh yes. This scene. Oh my gosh, he just turns into liquid.
It was so horrible. He just
There's-
started melting right before
With
your
the-
eyes.
When the van hits him, he just is like a balloon.
Ugh.
Kurtwood Smith. Also, I'm a big Christopher Lambert fan. The guy who played Connor McLeod in The Highlander.
I love.
Oh yeah, I love this.
He did a movie called Fortress, which is one of the best prison escape movies you will ever see.
Oh, that movie
And
killed me,
Kurtwood
man.
Smith played the evil prison warden.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see that now.
Yeah, with and the main character is actually Lampau, right? The guy who played the Highlander.
Yeah, Christopher Lambert. That's why I remember the movie, because I love. There's a sequence of Lambert films from like the mid '80s to the mid '90s that are just friggin' great. Obviously Highlander.
The one with the ninjas.
That's okay. Mean Guns is. I love Mean Guns. That's a Christopher. I think it's Ice-T are in that one too as well. It's a weird cast. But there's a sequence from like roughly '84 to '96 that Lambert did a bunch of really good films. And Fortress was in there.
Look at that shot. Look at him. Bloodied.
Yeah.
Doesn't give a damn. Doesn't give a damn. He is just like I've got one thing to do right now. That's put a bullet in you.
Yeah. Yep. God, so good. Just so good.
In fact, I'm just going to look up Lambert to get the couple of films I'm not remembering, so people could.
And there's something kind of playful about him. He must be taking
There
some
it is.
cues from Clockwork Orange, almost as if Clarence Bodiger is a child grown up out of the Clockwork Orange universe.
It's-
He gives me that vibe because he's kind of playful with his nonsense.
It's that thing we always hear about how actors love playing villains, and you'd think that
Yes.
they all want to
Because
play
they get
the
to let
hero.
go.
They get to let go. Yep. They get to be a kid.
And funny enough, Ron Christopher Lambert, he has a lot of great villains in these movies, by the way. Clancy Brown as the Kurgan.
Clancy
Oh, yeah.
Brown is one of the great villains ever.
Yeah.
Kurt,
And I don't
Yeah.
even know what you classify Highlander as. It's not science fiction.
not the original.
It's,
No, it's high fantasy.
it's almost more fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was saying for those lists of films for Lambert that I was mentioning, Greystoke, the Legend of Tarzan and Lord of the Apes.
I can't watch that movie because it makes me sad when the old ape gets
Oh
killed.
yeah.
I seen that once in my life, and I was traumatized as a child. I could never watch that
I
again.
can't get, yeah, exactly. It
I
was just
could
like
never watch that
it
again.
was so
That is
terrible.
horrible. It is terrible.
Then Highlander was 86. Then the film he's most famous for, which is The Sicilian. Then he Fortress, Gunmen, The Hunted, which was the ninja movie, Mortal Kombat, the 95 one, Mean Guns, which is like around the year 2000, Beowulf, which was pretty good. He did Fortress 2, which was okay. And those are like that sequence there. There's other ones in and out of this, especially some of his French films, but that sequence of about 8 or 9 films of his are gold for Lambert.
Yeah, that
Jacob.
original Highlander was such a groundbreaking and incredible film for just so many reasons. It was unexpected. You never seen anything like that before. And some of the dialogue, looking back on it, it can be kind of clunky. But overall, Sean Connery and Clancy Brown, and even his relationship with the girl when he's younger in Scotland.
Mhm.
Oh my God! When they play when Queen's playing "Nobody Lives Forever," and she's
Mhm.
older and he's
Yeah.
still young. Oh,
His
that
darling
rips
Heather.
right out of your chest.
How surprised were you when he came back and she was still alive and the Kurgan didn't kill her?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
was
Yeah, you
that
didn't
is
expect
surprising.
that.
I was so surprised, and as I
Yeah,
can't remember.
they foreshadowed that. Don't you remember the Kurgan didn't kill his wife because he wanted what Connor had?
No.
Remember in the original, when he went to the tower, he assaulted his wife. He didn't kill her.
Yeah,
Because
I
he
know.
wanted what he wanted. He wanted to take everything. Connor.
Oh,
The Kurgan
wow,
was the over the top villain. He
Yeah,
didn't
oh,
want
yeah,
to
he
kill
was.
you. He wanted to take everything you had.
Oh, I know what
I've
he
done
did. to her.
far worse than kill you. I've hurt you, and I
Yeah.
wish to keep on hurting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kurgan's dialogue with the nun
Yeah.
in the church in modern times, where he's talking almost as if he has a firsthand account of what Christ's actual opinion would have been.
He might have been there.
He was
Yeah.
old. He was really old. Yeah.
He was
He
really
was the
old.
oldest.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
movie,
one
comics,
of.
he was the oldest. And then the Ramirez was about 3,000 years old from ancient Egypt.
Right.
Mhm.
And they never really went into it much more than that with the movie. You know, let us say the movie sequels don't exist. Let us go that way.
Yeah,
No,
I
they
agree.
shouldn't.
I agree. They
They
do
shouldn't.
not
What a mess.
The only exception,
Or should that series? The series shouldn't exist either.
the series was pretty good for like.
I like the
It was
series.
okay, but in context of the universe, it shouldn't have existed.
No,
Yeah.
but
Well,
at
no,
that
the original
time,
Connor
series-
killed the Kurgan.
No.
That was it.
The original series premise was it was going to lead into the first movie.
yeah,
But then they realized they had a moneymaker at the end of the first season and said, let's just make it an alternate continuity.
yeah.
Oh, I hated that.
For the time back then, it was something good to watch, and it
And-
wasn't.
Mhm.
Well, again, the first 4 or 5 seasons, it went wrong when they killed Richie, to put it bluntly. You know, that's when the whole show went wrong. But because they should have let Richie become the main character and then just have 2 or 3 more seasons and just keep moving the immortal on. But anyway, I don't get lost in Highlander. Because I can talk
Another
about
thing we could do
Highlander.
an entire.
I can talk about Highlander. I could dissect those movies. Like I can say, well, there was a 17-second sequence in Highlander 3, which was actually pretty good, but everything else.
Well,
mean,
to me,
Matter of
one of the
People-
benchmarks for translation from good feature length film to incredible multi-season spin-off is the Stargate universe.
Yeah.
They did it right. They actually
People
made
love Stargate.
drastic
Yeah, the
improvements
They did.
from the translation directly or from the screen, where if you watch the movie, you can actually see some of the characters actually evolve right out of the movie, and they transport some of the characters from the movie into the series to kind of give it a good handshake to transfer ownership of the property over to the TV
Funny
show.
enough, the 2 guys who did that movie, who also did like the Independence Day movie, they hated the TV show for Stargate. They
Yeah,
still
well,
hate it.
that's okay. I hated Independence Day, so
I'm like,
whoa there, Steven.
I did not like Independence Day. Hey, you know what?
And that's
Solid
it for
feature.
Steven, folks. Say goodbye.
I've rewatched it. As a matter of fact, I was on a stream with Stone Loki regarding it. It's a solid piece of work. Don't get me wrong. Technically and historically, it does exactly what it's trying to do. It's tongue in cheek. It's normie across the board demographic entertainment. It butters the popcorn.
right?
I'm not saying it's The Quiet Man. It's a popcorn movie.
Exactly. The Quiet Man. Hysterical. What? The Quiet Man.
See, that's funny. I get that reference. Golly. All right. So I guess okay. So you guys what do you want right now? Do you want wildly obscure or semi-obscure, or not obscure?
Well, go
From
semi.
you?
Semi. I want to hear semi-obscure.
Semi? Okay. So semi-obscure. Let me get my shit together here. What did I call him? Oh, there it is.
Buffy's TV show was the movie was good, but the TV show for the first 4 or 5 seasons was better. The last two, I hated the last 2 seasons of Buffy. I just hated them.
The cigarette smoking man from the X-Files.
But if you
Oh, that's a good pick, Roman. Oh, yeah.
if you hate the Buffalo Bills, he's not a villain.
I love this character so
Yeah.
much
Yes.
because, quite honestly, because I felt you never, even at the end, you really never knew who he was.
Nope.
They dropped all these breadcrumbs. So X-Files, for those of you kids who are not aware, was a show about UFOs and other stuff in the late 90s. And the cigarette smoking man was kind of the face of the shadow government. They were the ones who were actually running everything and covering up the alien involvement and being actively involved with the aliens themselves.
Some of the aliens.
And he was the opposite of Skinner. It's funny because that episode when Skinner and he are talking, and then you realize Skinner actually hates this guy. You think he might be Mulder's father for a number of episodes because they play it like that, and they leave you with a lot of questions about the cigarette smoking man, the man who is there and never there, but who is always there.
They used him just the right amount in the episodes.
Here's the thing. Like, if you go by the original X-Files story and not with the sequel TV series and the stupid movie, right, that came out, the aliens were supposed to invade and colonize the Earth in 2010, and he was leading a faction trying to stop them. Remember, he was working against those government colluders who were trying to help the aliens colonize. If you remember when they would show him meeting with people, and he would always tell this guy who was an alien to like backstab them. The guy who played the Klingon in Star Trek 5, the Klingon captain in Star Trek 5 that was chasing after Kirk, but then the Klingon general on Kirk's ship took a command and ordered him to help Kirk.
He also
played it here. You don't know the actor if you see him. In any case, he played his alien enforcer. Okay, so he's a complex character. You know what I mean? Like, which I liked about the X-Files to a point. I just got tired of them resetting it over and over again.
They had to. Yeah.
No, just end it. Like, just 7 seasons, have your meta story, have the aliens show up and either conquer us or lose to a disease or some stupid shit like that. You know?
What I liked is, like you said, Roman, you didn't know his real motivations.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
Almost never.
You didn't know the structure of everything. You knew he was the face, but you don't even know he's the face of what necessarily. And
yes.
And the way it's like sometimes he's a benefactor, he's mostly an antagonist.
Yes.
And it's like, what are you don't even know what to expect out of him. You just know that he has got this menacing presence and there's power behind him.
Well, he saved Mulder several times.
Right.
Like he had his alien goons heal Mulder when Mulder got blown up in that packing shipping crate or whatever it was. I think in like the 4th or 5th season. And it was like radioactivity and shit.
And he meets the criteria of being someone that's very recognizable. He's got a great design and character style.
Oh, the actor was just brilliant.
Perfect.
In the role.
Perfect
he's
in the role.
Alive or did he pass away?
I think he's actually still. But what I liked about him is what you like about Grand Moff Tarkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's
a
gets
leathery
excited.
kind of character.
He is always very even.
Yes.
I don't know if he ever raises his voice.
No.
But there is always a level of menace.
But without being physically intimidating in terms of like
it's just what he represents.
Around. It's what he represents, and that he's always assured of what he's up to and who's behind him.
Yeah.
The cigarette constantly smoking, the bored expression on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, God, such a good, just that G-man thing.
Yeah. And to kind of fill out a little bit of the lore surrounding it within the UFO narrative, a character like this is almost trapped in their own position. They're desperately trying to keep it out of the hands of the normal conversation. They don't want the public discussing this at all. And at the same time, they're pretty much terrified that they can't allow it to come out because the aliens don't want it to come out either.
Yeah, he had to tread very dark place, a very dark line.
Yep. And the whole cigarette smoking thing, not very many people understand this, but at the time, a cigarette smoker on screen was a villain just by definition of smoking.
This was not the 60s.
And he was never going to die of cancer. You get the impression that he had somehow stepped around cancer.
Well, his number one bodyguard could heal people. So they established that pretty early, you know.
So there was this, is he immortal? Is he something else? Is he a clone? Is he an ally? Yes. The generic answer to all questions is yes.
He was kind of like the villain in, I can't remember the guy's name, in No Country for Old Men, who's more like a force of nature than a human being.
Yeah, Sugar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sugar.
My dad loves that. We talk about that movie endlessly because
he's one of those scary villains. Movies. Yep.
He's terrifying because it's just his code.
I asked my father. I asked my father, like, what would you pick for a sci-fi, your best villain? He's like, he picked that guy. I'm like, that's not a sci-fi movie. It doesn't count.
He is probably one of your top 10 great movie villains, though.
Yeah.
But
you know what?
Yeah, Cigarette Smoking Man was just, and you did see an evolution of him in the series. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it got a little muddied. I think it's just because the show did go on a bit too long.
Yep.
Which was too bad.
Yeah, and there's another parallel within the narrative of the whole UFO world, is that he's the villain version. He's the ambiguous bad guy version of the guy with the keys in E.T. He gives that same exact vibe.
Same vibe, yeah.
I've been in this for far too long. But he's able to retain his Steven Spielbergness, but this guy lost it decades ago.
Yeah. He was never gonna be the good guy.
Yeah, so good guy. What does that even mean in the scope of the conversation that he's having?
Have a lot of gray men in our conversations.
Yeah.
A lot of gray men. Not like little gray men, but gray men as in ambiguous, not good or bad.
Yeah. Vague.
So I think on that one we're gonna wrap it up. And we actually came up with a really good concept for what will probably be our next show, which is not going to be next Thursday. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so there's not going to be a show next Thursday. But we'll probably do a show the following week. And the concept of doing a Space Seed to Wrath of Khan is entirely appealing. So I think we're gonna throw that thing out there, and that will probably be our show before the holiday season really hits in. So let's see. So Matt, do you have anything going on? What's happening over in your world?
I've become re-obsessed with the world of Warcraft, so my video production is ground to a halt.
Oh no,
you
got sucked back in.
That's why I said just as they dragged me out, I get sucked back in. You can blame OBG70 for that. But I'm still trying to keep up with my Bleach reviews. I was gonna do the Peripheral, but then I heard the 5th episode, so I'm just gonna binge it and done with it.
Same.
So I found a Japanese science fiction movie. I haven't seen it in years. It's really good, called The Returner. Okay, if you look the guy acted up, if you watch a lot of Japanese science fiction, you'll recognize the actor's name. It's a really good movie. I'm probably this weekend going to watch and do a review of that. I want to do a lot of stuff. I don't have time to do it. So, I want to. I don't know. I want to do stuff. I just need time. I need to stop time. Get that watch from what was the TV show? The Watch to Stop Time.
Oh, I remember that. I don't remember what it was called though.
Yeah, stop time for an hour so I can do something and you know. But
Well, there's several different versions. There's a European adult comic book called Click, where it's a kind of a remote control situation where you press pause and the universe just stops.
I would accept that. Daniel, what do you got going on, brother?
I'm kind of in Matt's shoes. I have stuff I want to do and I haven't been doing. The latest thing I did was just weeks back when I watched. I went and saw Black Adam and I made a quickie review in the parking lot. And
I watched that.
Oh, cool! Thanks. And so I enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie by any stretch. I recently saw Smile in the theater, and I actually thought I enjoyed it. It's definitely not a perfect horror movie, but yeah, I have stuff. The problem is it's gotten cold, and I like to film my things outside. So I've become a complete wimp. I was talking to Nerdporial was giving me a hard time because I grew up in Chicago. He doesn't think I did, but I did. And now I live down south, and I can't take the cold anymore. I used to just 40 degrees. I used to be in like my shorts up north, but now it's too cold. So I'm not filming outside, and I need to. I've made like 3 different recordings, like 30-minute recordings, thinking I was going to make a video, and I'm like, it's too long. I need to edit it, and so yeah, I've got to kick myself in the butt and make something. But other than that, I'm just being a guest, and I'm enjoying doing this.
All right. Well, I'll probably hit actually both you and Matt up for the con video when we get around to that here soon. Because my God, we can spend an awful lot of time on that topic. So I think we shall give it the time that it is due if you guys are willing to be there.
So the guy I was talking about, the actor you recognize from a lot of science fiction, including X-Files, I just gave you a link. It's
where?
Share, it's a screen share.
Oh, okay. Thank God. Wait.
Abomination. What? Thanks for stopping by in the last minute.
That
here.
one?
Yeah, that's Brian Thompson. He played the Serious Man's alien.
Oh yeah,
Moon.
I do recognize him.
He's been in a lot of stuff like you have seen over the years. So he's another actor doesn't get a lot of like name credit for all these.
Yeah, he's just one of those faces you've seen a bunch of.
Yeah.
Steven, what else you got going on, bud?
Tomorrow, I've got a show that I'm doing with the very lovely Jacob Ironside. It's not an art stream. This is going to be a chill chat on Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, and of course +2 for Central, and plus another hour and a half for Eastern Seaboard. We're going to be discussing favorite books, I guess sci-fi and whatever fantasy, just
Excellent.
Getting into favorite literature and topics along those lines. Just keeping it chill. It's a Friday after all, and we're just going to have a good time with it.
I
so,
do love
come on
Jacob
down and join
Ironside.
us.
Master of the meme. So for me tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'm going to be on with Father Miller because I'm not sure if Father Miller is going to be on at noon for his afternoon stretch. On Saturday, I'll be on with PJ Maybe at 12 PST. That's our UK show. Stephen will be there probably as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the great secret this week is on Monday, we are doing a pirate version of Mixtape Mondays. So that's going to be on my channel. And we're going to talk about soundtracks and new stuff that we've bought and shit that we like. It's going to be real loosey-goosey. It's probably going to be weird. I expect it's going to be a lot of fun, though. So if you like your music stuff, hop on over on Monday, 5 PST, just like all the other shows are. So my co-host, I'm going to ask you to hang on for a second. I'm going to exit out. I'm going to exit you guys out. I'm going to hang out for just one moment. But
Cheers.
I want to thank everybody who is on tonight. Pops and the Nerdporial Lifeform and Flaccid for popping on.
Yeah.
Unbearable 73, Matt, and Daniel, one of the great minds of the internet. He's the one who keeps it all together, in case anybody's curious. He's the one who's holding it all together, just like that. And then, of course, my co-host, Stephen Ransom. It's always a pleasure to do shows with you guys. So
thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you so much, Roman.
All right, just hang out for 1 second, guys. I'm gonna beep you out.
That's you, Daniel. Don't you go running away when we close the show.
Don't leave. So going into the night, I had some horrible news. One of my oldest Navy friends had committed suicide. And I wanted to just kind of throw out to the vets out there, the guys. It always seems to be the retired guys. Remember, you're not alone out there. Literally hit up any of your buddies. Call, text, please do something, but contact your fellow vets because we're out there. The guys who've been retired a while literally know what you're going through because we've probably been there and had those thoughts. So please never feel like you're alone. I mean, they have the suicide hotline, of course, but then there's everybody else you've ever met in your career and all the friends you have. Call them, contact them. Nothing is over until you make that choice, and then it is. So on that note, this has been Solving the World's Problems. Please like and subscribe to the channel because we really do need the help. And lastly, of course, and as always, be kind.